Chapter 363. After finishing the cloud mist escape, Wang Daoyuan began to cultivate the fourth level of the Earth Divine Lightning. The Earth Divine Lightning that Daoist Thunderflame gave him only had 4 levels in total and could only be cultivated up to the early Violet Palace realm. However, once the 4th level of the Earth Divine Lightning was combined with the powerful divine sense of a Violet Palace realm cultivator, its power would increase greatly. Relying on the speed of the 5 elements Divine Lightning and its explosive destructive properties, the 4th level of the Earth Divine Lightning would be a great threat to a mid-Violet Palace realm cultivator. However, it was not enough to deal with a late Violet Palace realm cultivator. Although the power of the Earth Divine Lightning would increase with the increase of the user's cultivation, the increase would not be great. Currently, the 4th level of the Earth Divine Lightning was more than enough to deal with a mid-foundation establishment cultivator like Scarlet Fox. If a magical technique manual was incomplete, it could be slowly repaired through practice. For a magical technique like the 5 elements Divine Lightning, it was basically impossible to repair it without understanding the magical technique. Unless he could obtain the complete Gui Water Divine Lightning in the future. The 5 elements Divine Lightning was closely related and had a lot in common. He could try to use the Gui Water Divine Lightning to deduce the contents of the Earth Divine Lightning. Wang Daoyuan used a month's time to cultivate the 4th level of the Earth Divine Lightning to the small success stage. Within the space of the Spirit Pearl, the death aura within the Netherworld Pearl had been completely cleansed. It was time to refine his first life-bound magic tool. The main material for the Black Tortoise shield was the Spirit Spring Pearl. However, in order to increase the shield's strength, he needed to use a smelting method to fuse some high-strength water attribute materials. He did not have any 3rd-grade water attribute materials, but there should be quite a few in the clan's treasury. After all, the old ancestor was a water attribute cultivator and should have collected a lot of such materials when he was alive. Nurturing a life-bound magic tool was also a painstaking effort. 5th great-uncle had established his Violet Palace for so many years and spent most of his time in seclusion in his cave to nurture his life-bound magic tool. Especially when the life-bound magic tool had just taken shape, it could not be disturbed in the slightest. Therefore, it was better to go to Jade Spring Mountain to complete the most crucial process of forming the magic tool. After returning to Jade Spring Mountain on his sword, he went to the administration hall to look for the 12th uncle. In the end, only the 3rd brother was there. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Where is the 12th uncle?" "I want to ask him for some refining materials." "Why isn't he here to handle the family affairs today?" Wang Daochang smiled and said, "After you came back last time, the 12th uncle said that his cultivation was too low and he had to go into closed-door training. He hasn't come out yet." Wang Daoyuan immediately understood. Last time, when he came to take the complete smoke escape, there was a fluctuation of spiritual energy. The 12th uncle had noticed it and suffered a blow. As the great elder, the 3rd brother also held the key to the clan's treasury. Asking him would be the same. "3rd brother, I need a few tier 3 water attribute materials. Do you have any in the family treasury?" Wang Daochang replied without hesitation, "The clan's treasury that I control only stores grade 1 and grade 2 phase. The phase above grade 3 were all placed in the clan's secret treasury. Only the patriarch and the grand elder had the key to the secret treasury. 5th granduncle and 12th uncle are both in closed-door training. You can ask great-grandfather to get it for you." Wang Daoyuan left the executive hall and went to the hidden scripture tower. When he came to the ancient pine, great-grandfather asked, "How is your cultivation of the smoke escape?" Wang Daoyuan bowed and said, "I can already fly through the air. I want to refine my natal artifact. The main materials have been prepared. I still need some strong water attribute materials as supplementary materials. 5th granduncle and 12th uncle are both in closed-door training. I can only look for you." Great-grandfather nodded and asked, "Your talent in cultivation has always been good. The smoke escape won't be a problem for you. However, you are a penta-spirit roots cultivator and cultivate all 5 elements. Why do you only refine a water attribute natal artifact?" Wang Daoyuan answered, "I helped the Netherworld sect to build flying warships and treat the injured. The sect master rewarded me with a set of 5 elements natal artifact refinement methods. There are a total of 5 artifacts. Now, I only found one main material for a water attribute natal artifact. I will refine this one first. Great-grandfather stood up and brought him to the ancestral temple. His hands formed a complicated seal and hit the great ancestor's altar. Then, a hole appeared under the altar. Great-grandfather smiled and said, "Follow me. I don't have many years left. You have opened up the purple mansion and are the pillar of the family. After I die, the key to my secret treasury will be handed over to you." Wang Daoyuan followed behind great-grandfather and went into the hole. The hole could only allow one person to crawl in. After entering the hole, the inside was slightly more spacious. Behind the hole was a stone staircase that extended to the south. After walking to the bottom of the staircase and walking south for another 100 feet, there was a huge door. The door should be located under the Jade Dragon Spring. This door was made from a mixture of various grade 3 metals, and it was engraved with dense engravings of tool runes. Great-grandfather took out a 3-inch-long jade sword and threw it at the door. When the jade sword touched the door, it emitted a gentle white light and the door slowly opened. Great-grandfather walked through the door and said, "This is the treasury that the great ancestor meticulously built. It contains his life's collection. You can look around and see if there are any other main materials for a natal artifact." Wang Daoyuan followed great-grandfather into the treasury and was dumbfounded. He didn't expect the Wang clan to still have such a rich family after so many years of decline. After entering the door, there were 5 shelves made of grade 3 spirit wood on both sides. On each shelf, there were 50 to 60 spiritual materials of a certain attribute. These materials could be sold for nearly 1,000,000 spirit stones. Continuing to walk inside, there were 5 smaller shelves, each of which held a magic tool of the 5 elements. Wang Daoyuan still had the prairie fire sword and the glazed flame dark iron shield. He didn't need any grade 3 artifacts. As they walked further in, there were 2 platforms made of jade. On the left jade platform, there was a black long sword, a black soft armor, and a shield. Judging from the spiritual energy fluctuations on these 3 artifacts, they were definitely grade 4 artifacts. They should have been left behind by the great ancestor. This long sword was the Wang clan's natal artifact, the profound dragon sea cover sword. On the right jade platform, there were several pieces of grade 4 materials. Great-grandfather smiled and said, "These are all our family's assets. See if there's anything you need." Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "There's no problem with the supplementary materials for a water natal artifact. Grade 3 Blackwater iron crystal is very good. As for the other 4 artifacts, I haven't found the main materials yet. I'm not in a hurry to refine them. I'll just use one natal artifact first." Great-grandfather asked curiously, "You asked Shui to help you find information about dragon bloodline demonic beasts. Are natal artifacts related to dragon bloodline demonic beasts?" Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "They are indeed related. One of the natal artifacts requires a pseudo-dragon ball. You also know that there are only a few grade 3 dragon bloodline demonic beasts in the entire Zhao. It's easier said than done to find a pseudo-dragon ball." Great-grandfather smiled and said, "Actually, our clan also has pseudo-dragon balls. Back then, the great ancestor's dragonfish was also a dragon species with an extremely high concentration of dragon blood. At grade 3 lower grade, it gave birth to a pseudo-dragon ball. Unfortunately, it was besieged and killed in battle with the great ancestor. The pseudo-dragon ball was also damaged. Now, the carcass of the dragonfish and the pseudo-dragon ball are still in this jade spring peak. Is such a pseudo-dragon ball useful to you?" Wang Daoyuan shook his head and said, "I don't need a grade 4 pseudo-dragon ball to refine artifacts, but it must be complete. I don't know how damaged the pseudo-dragon ball is, so I don't dare to say whether it can be used or not." Great-grandfather took out the 3-inch-long jade sword again and placed it on the ground between the 2 jade platforms. The stone slab on the ground moved away, revealing a hole. Great-grandfather smiled and said, "This is our Wang clan's backup plan to preserve our lineage. The carcass of the dragonfish and the pseudo-dragon ball are all placed below. Chapter 364. Wang Daoyuan followed Tai Gong into the cave. There were still long stone steps below. They walked down the stone steps for more than 200 feet and arrived at a platform. On this platform, there was a fork in the road. Tai Gong pointed at the stone steps that continued to extend downwards and said, "This is the escape route left behind by the family." When the ancestor was still alive, he spent more than 200 years to extend it to the northeast corner of the family territory, which is near Tai Chiu Peak. After saying that, he led Wang Daoyuan to the fork in the road. After walking for more than 100 feet, there was another door in front of them. This door was protected by a large array. Tai Gong took out a token and injected spiritual power into it. The token flickered, and the door opened automatically. An aura that made one's legs go weak came out. This aura was much stronger than that of an ordinary golden core cultivator. Moreover, this aura was mixed with a feeling that made one want to worship it. This should be the dragon's aura. How powerful was the dragon's aura that could make non-aquatic creatures want to worship it? After the two of them used the water dragon armor, they immediately felt better. The dragon's aura was gone. It seemed that the arowana recognized them as family. After walking a few feet into the door, they saw a stone platform inside. On the platform was an aqua-blue spirit beast with a dragon head and a fish body. Its image was exactly the same as the Wang family's emblem. The entire arowana was more than 30 feet long, and the dragon head was more than 5 feet long. Looking at the size alone, it was really nothing. Yin Yi's waist circumference was more than 30 feet. However, this arawana's dragon head was indeed extraordinary. Its head was like a camel's, its horns were like a deer's, its eyes were like a rabbit's, and its ears were like a cow's. There was no obvious difference between it and the legendary true dragon. It was not easy for ordinary dragon species to be similar to true dragons in one or two aspects. For an arowana whose dragon head was no different from a true dragon, how high was the concentration of its dragon blood? If it did not die, it might transform into a true dragon in the future. Behind the dragon head was a fish body that was more than 20 feet long and a tail that was more than 6 feet long. Moreover, this arowana did not look like it had been dead for hundreds of years. Instead, it looked like it was asleep. A level for dragon species was full of treasures. Dragon pearls, dragon horns, dragon scales, dragon bones, dragon tendons, and so on were all good materials for refining level 4 artifacts. The dragonfish died in battle before the old ancestor. Later, it was said that the old ancestor ate the dragonfish meat and refined it into a few magic weapons. Back then, the old ancestor did have a magic weapon refined from dragon horns and dragon bones. Everyone thought that the rumors were true. Even Wang Daoyuan didn't know that the arawana's body was still there. If it weren't for this rumor, the arawana's carcass would have been destroyed. The Wang family's water dragon technique had some dragon's might, which was imitated from the arowana. However, the dragon aura of the water dragon technique was nothing compared to the arowana. Wang Daoyuan had always felt that his water dragon technique wasn't as powerful as it was rumored to be. Back then, the Grand Ancestor's water dragon art could instantly kill opponents of a higher cultivation level, while his water dragon art could only defeat opponents of the same cultivation level. Fifth Uncle and 12th Uncle's water dragon art could only fight against cultivators with slightly higher cultivation bases. Looking at it now, it lacked the charm. The Grand Ancestor had fought side by side with the arowana for hundreds of years. The water dragon technique had the charm of the arowana, so it was naturally more powerful. Wang Daoyuan looked at the arawana's body and felt that it looked a little like a Qing River carp. He asked in confusion, "Grand Elder, why do I feel that the arawana's body looks a little like a Qing River carp?" Grand Elder stroked his long beard and said with a smile, "You have good taste." The arawana's predecessor was a Qing River carp. However, it was a mutant among the Qing River carps. Back when the Grand Ancestor obtained the arowana, it was only a foot long and looked no different from an ordinary Qing River carp. However, it was already a low-grade rank 2 spirit beast. There were indeed Qing River carps that could break through to rank 2, but they were all old fishes that had lived for hundreds of years and were dozens of feet long. The Grand Ancestor saw that it was extraordinary, so he raised it in the Jade Dragon Spring. It ate the Jade Dragon algae in the Jade Dragon Spring, and after decades, it broke through to rank 3. After the breakthrough, a patch of reverse golden scales grew out from the bottom of its throat. This was something that only dragons with a high concentration of dragon blood could grow. Even for flood dragons, only a few of them could grow reverse scales. The Grand Ancestor nurtured it wholeheartedly. Later on, the arowana slowly grew horns and even comprehended the dragon clan's water-controlling ability. After the arowana broke through to rank 4, it grew into its current appearance. Unfortunately, if it didn't die, it might have a chance to break through to rank 5 in the future. Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. There was a rumor in the outside world that the Wang family's arowana was an ordinary spirit fish. However, it had always been treated as a rumor. Basically, no one believed it. Wang Daoyuan didn't believe it himself. He didn't expect the rumor to be true. He thought of the hundreds of Qing River carps he raised in the spiritual pearl space, and there were a few rank 2 ones. However, those rank 2 Qing River carps had lived for hundreds of years, and he had never seen one that could break through to rank 2 at a foot long. Grand Elder bowed 3 times to the arowana and then used a secret technique to make the arowana open its mouth. A blue pearl with a diameter of about 9 inches appeared in the arawana's mouth. However, the dragon pearl was covered in cracks as if it would shatter with a touch. Grand Elder asked, "Can this dragon pearl be used?" Wang Daoyuan shook his head and said, "The damage is too severe. It will shatter after a few uses. I don't have the means to repair it. It's good to use it as a one-time use dermic artifact, but it's still lacking when used to refine a natal dermic artifact. However, I can extract its essence to upgrade my natal dermic artifact." Grand Elder sighed and said, "The dragon pearl is indeed too severely damaged." The ancestor left behind 2 secret techniques. One is for Violet Palace Realm cultivators to consume the dragon pearl and gain strength comparable to Golden Core cultivators for a short period of time. After that, the Violet Palace Realm cultivator will explode and die. The other is for Golden Core cultivators to use it to control the arawana's body. Unfortunately, after the defeat, the Wang family didn't leave the Violet Palace realm for 300 years, let alone Golden Core cultivators. Then, he handed a jade slip, jade sword, and token to Wang Daoyuan and smiled. "I'm not far from death, so I'll leave these things to you." Although Jian triggered the arowana phenomenon when he opened his Violet Palace realm, his aptitude can only be considered above average. The Wang family's future depends on you and Shui. When you form your Golden Core in the future, you might be able to repair the Dragon Pearl. By the way, what phenomenon did you trigger when you opened your Violet Palace realm? Wang Daoyuan didn't stand on ceremony with Grand Elder and smiled. When I opened my Violet Palace realm, I triggered the phenomenon of the 5 elements divine beast. Grand Elder was stunned for a long time before he said excitedly, "Good. Good. Good. My Wang family's prosperity is imminent." Those who could produce divine beasts in their Violet Palace anomalies were all famous experts after forming their golden cores. According to the family's records, when the ancestor opened his Violet Palace realm back then, the phenomenon was a water dragon. Although they're all dragons, there's a difference in status. The water dragon is far inferior to the azure dragon. I didn't expect that you could trigger the phenomenon of the 5 elements divine beast. Grand Elder used a secret technique to shut the arawana's mouth. Wang Daoyuan didn't have the ability to move the arawana's corpse, so he could only leave it here. The 2 of them left the door and reactivated the array. Grand Elder said, "In the future, when you want to comprehend the true dragon's charm, you can come here. Every time you're done, remember to activate the array. This array has the function of protecting the arawana's corpse. If you don't activate the array, there might be problems with the arawana's corpse." Wang Daoyuan nodded and followed Grand Elder back to the secret treasury. After taking a few pieces of black iron crystals, they left the secret treasury. The materials for the black tortoise shield were all prepared, and he could start refining it at any time. Now, Wang Daoyuan was still thinking about something else, and that was the jade dragon algae. The jade dragon algae could allow aquatic beasts to evolve. If he could plant it in large quantities and feed it to the Qing River carp, it wouldn't be impossible to cultivate another arowana in the future. Although the jade dragon algae had high requirements for its living environment, it was still a spiritual plant. With the spiritual fire of life, it might be able to survive in the spiritual pearl space. Chapter 365. After leaving the ancestral temple, Tai Gong returned to the front of the hidden scriptures tower. Wang Daoyuan circled around the jade dragon spring and used his divine sense to search for the jade dragon algae. The jade dragon algae grew at the bottom of the spring, and the shallowest part of the water was more than 200 feet deep. Generally, the divine sense of a peak foundation establishment cultivator could only explore 300 to 500 feet in an open space. If he explored underwater, he could only explore about 100 feet underwater. For more than 200 feet underwater, there was nothing he could do. After Wang Daoyuan opened his Zifu, his divine sense could explore the rock layer 5 to 6 miles deep. More than 200 feet of water was naturally not a problem. After finding the jade dragon algae, he used the water dragon technique to condense a small water dragon of 1 foot long and rolled the jade dragon algae out. The jade dragon algae was a specialty of the Jade Spring Peak, and each of them was very precious. Without the consent of the patriarch, he could not touch them easily. However, Wang Daoyuan contributed a lot to the family, so no one said anything when he wanted to pull out a few jade dragon algae. He did not take too much, only 1 third-ranked jade dragon algae, 3 second-ranked jade dragon algae, and 5 or 6 first-ranked jade dragon algae seedlings. He took these jade dragon algae back to the cave house and put them into the space of the spiritual pearl. Naturally, the jade dragon algae could not be directly put into the fish pond. The group of Qing River carps and pseudo-spirit fish ate everything they saw. No matter how much jade dragon algae there was, it was not enough for them to spoil. Li Qingchuan's doppelganger dug a 1-foot-wide hole in the ground around the life spirit fire. Using a second-rank low-grade sweet rain talisman, rain with rich spiritual energy fell in the space. The newly dug pit was quickly filled with water, and the jade dragon algae was planted in the pit. Whether these jade dragon algae could survive or not, it was up to their own luck. Next, Wang Daoyuan began to sacrificial refine the black tortoise shield. There were many ways to refine the life source magic tool, and each magic tool was different. For example, the forging method of the black tortoise shield was to purify the materials, and the molding process was also completed in the dantian. The only impurity in the underworld bead was the death aura, which had been burned by the spiritual fire of life for more than 100 years and had been consumed. Using water spiritual power, he took out a wisp of Gui water death flame from the space and extracted the essence of the black iron crystal. The essence of the blackwater iron crystal was of the water attribute. If it was calcined with an ordinary flame, it would inevitably lose a part of its essence and even affect its quality. When using the Gui water death flame, one only needed to control the flame and not ignite the essence of the material to greatly reduce the consumption. He fused the extracted blackwater iron crystal essence into the underworld bead. After the smelting process was complete, a drop of blood essence was added into it. A natal dharma artifact would first recognize its master before being refined. In addition, after many years of nurturing, he was able to wield it like an extension of his arm, displaying a power that far exceeded that of an ordinary magical artifact. Of course, there were gains and losses. The legacy of a natal dharma artifact was not worth much. After the seniors passed away, the juniors would not be able to unleash the full power of the natal magic tool they left behind. It was not a natal magic artifact that he had refined himself, so its power was weaker than ordinary magic artifacts. Once the smelting process was complete, he stored the underworld bead into his dantian. Then, he poured his spiritual energy and true essence into the underworld bead. After a month of nurturing, he could begin to mold it. The spirit spring bead was between a solid and liquid state. There was no need to forge it at all. He only needed to use his spiritual energy to mold it into the desired shape. He moved the underworld bead from his dantian to the purple palace in his sea of consciousness. His soul followed the refining method and molded the underworld bead into the shape of a black tortoise shield. After that, it was time to inscribe the tool pattern. A natal magic artifact would continuously increase in grade as its master's cultivation level increased. A lack of materials could be made up for through the continuous nurturing of spiritual energy and true essence. One could even use the smelting method to fuse the essence of higher grade materials to increase the grade of the materials. However, the tool pattern that was inscribed could not be strengthened. Therefore, the tool pattern of a natal magic artifact could not be directly inscribed like an ordinary magical artifact. Instead, the tool pattern was condensed using the spiritual imprint. In this way, the tool pattern had the dual function of the tool pattern and the spiritual imprint of an ordinary magical artifact. While ensuring its power, it would be easier to control it. When increasing the grade of a magical artifact, the tool pattern would change a little. It only needed to be infused with the power of the spiritual imprint to perfect the original tool pattern. The tool pattern condensed from the same person's spiritual imprint would not conflict with the tool pattern that was condensed later. Condensing the tool pattern took a lot of time and effort. Wang Daoyuan used half a year to completely condense the tool pattern. At this point, the natal magic artifact, the black tortoise shield, could be considered completed. However, the materials and tool pattern only accounted for a small part of a natal magic artifact's power. In the end, how much power it could unleash depended on how well it was refined. As for the inferior natal magic artifacts, they only needed to be nourished with spiritual power and true yuan. However, a natal magic artifact that was nurtured this way was weak and had a slow growth rate. A superior natal magic artifact refinement method required one to infuse one's own understanding into the artifact. It was just like when a sword cultivator nurtured his natal flying sword, he needed to comprehend the sword intent and infuse it into the flying sword. Refining the black tortoise shield also required one to visualize the true form of the black tortoise. If one could comprehend the charm of the black tortoise and infuse it into the black tortoise shield, its power would increase greatly. The difficulty of comprehending the charm of the black tortoise was not ordinary. The black tortoise was not like the old dragon. If one wanted to comprehend the charm of the true dragon, one could find a dragon species and observe it frequently. The black tortoise bloodline was extremely rare and it was impossible to find a real object to observe. There were many ways to use the black tortoise's phantom to increase one's defense. During the duel between the Netherworld sect and the Cruel Sun Palace for the Spirit Vein, Wang Daoyuan had fought a cultivator from the Cruel Sun Palace who used a combination dermic artifact. That person had used the black tortoise's phantom to increase his defense. The black tortoise water repelling array, the existing mountain protection array of Jade Spring Peak, also relied on the black tortoise's phantom to increase the array's defense. However, those things were only superficial and did not have the charm of the black tortoise. For most cultivators, it was extremely difficult to comprehend the charm of a divine beast. However, it wasn't a difficult task for Wang Daoyuan. After all, the black tortoise was part of his Violet Palace manifestation. The Purple Mansion phenomenon was related to divine powers and divine powers were an application of the laws of the great world. Therefore, the Purple Mansion phenomenon was related to the black tortoise's divine powers and also contained a trace of the black tortoise's charm. Of course, the effect of observing the black tortoise's phenomenon was far inferior to capturing a black tortoise bloodline demon beast and observing it. However, it was still much better than looking at a visualization diagram and imagining it out of thin air. It was also fortunate that he was refining the black tortoise shield. If it were any other spirit tortoise shield, the Purple Mansion phenomenon would not be of any help. Wang Daoyuan injected a large amount of spiritual sense and spirit energy into the black tortoise mark outside his Purple Mansion. The black tortoise mark shone brightly and turned into the phantom of a black tortoise. Then, he controlled the black tortoise shield and imitated the appearance of the Purple Mansion phenomenon to condense the black tortoise phantom. It was impossible to comprehend the charm of the black tortoise in a short period of time unless one had an extremely dense black tortoise bloodline. He observed the black tortoise's phenomenon every day to comprehend the charm and fused his comprehension, spirit energy, and true essence into the black tortoise shield. 2 years later, he would have some success in refining the black tortoise shield. Its power should not be weak. He still needed to find an opponent to spar with to test his strength. He did not dare to touch demon beasts recklessly. Class 3 demon beasts were not like Class 2 demon beasts where no one would care if they were killed. Class 3 demon beasts were not inferior to ordinary humans in terms of intelligence and had friends. If he killed one, he would attract a group of them and might even trigger a small beast stampede. Furthermore, Class 3 demon beasts were not simple. They had many innate Dharma spells, ranging from 2 to 8. It was not strange for some mutated species to have comprehended more than 10 innate Dharma spells. They were not to be trifled with. If Class 3 demon beasts were not strong in combat, there would not be a shortage of Foundation Establishment elixirs on the market. He could casually kill 2 of them and obtain their demon cores to refine Foundation Establishment elixirs. It was too risky to fight demon beasts. It was better to let his 5th great uncle be his sparring partner. Chapter 366. His 5th granduncle had been refining magic tools in seclusion for many years, and he didn't know what he had achieved. It was a good opportunity for them to test each other. In order to prevent him from disturbing his 5th granduncle at the critical moment of his seclusion, it was better to send a message first. After the message was sent, his 5th granduncle quickly replied that they could spar. After Wang Daoyuan entered his 5th granduncle's cave, he activated all the restrictions in the cave and said with a smile, "Good lad, I didn't expect you to open your purple mansion earlier than Shui. I heard that you also have a 5 elements divine beast avatar. You're much more talented than me. When you first entered the family, I was already in the middle stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. Now that your cultivation has caught up with mine, I'm afraid you're already stronger than me." After he finished speaking, he lifted the bed and revealed a stone slab. There was a cave under it, and the 2 of them went down. There was a very spacious stone room below. The stone room was 300 feet long and 100 feet wide. There was a defensive formation set up with a formation disc. Wang Daoyuan asked curiously, "Why does our family have such a big underground building?" "I really didn't know." His 5th granduncle was a little surprised. Foundation Establishment realm cultivators are used to digging a stone room underground to cultivate magic arts. Mine was enlarged after I opened my purple mansion. Wang Daoyuan was stunned and asked, "Is it always like this?" "I've never dug a stone room to cultivate magic arts." "Then where do you usually cultivate magic arts?" "Heaven/mountain range. It's more spacious there. I can cultivate magic arts and kill demonic beasts while I'm at it," Wang Daoyuan answered without hesitation. His 5th granduncle was silent for a while and said, "Your way of doing things is the same as our ancestor." He often went deep into the heaven/mountain range to kill demonic beasts and use them to cultivate magic arts. After forming his golden core, he often went to find 4th-rank demonic beasts to spar with. However, there aren't many people who have this ability. "Forget it, let's not talk about this. Let's spar." After he finished speaking, his 5th granduncle summoned a black longsword. There was a black dragon carving on the sword. It was exactly the same as the mysterious dragon sea-flipping sword left behind by the ancestor in the secret treasury, but its spiritual power was much weaker. Wang Daoyuan also summoned the black tortoise shield. The shield was nearly rectangular, 3 feet long and 1 foot wide. The entire shield was pitch black, and there was a black tortoise carving on the surface of the shield. He infused his spiritual energy into the black tortoise shield, and a 10-meter tall and 10-meter wide phantom shield appeared out of thin air. 5th great uncle also swung his long sword, and a sword shadow slashed at the shield's shadow. The shadow of the shield gently swayed a few times and completely neutralized the power of the sword. Wang Daoyuan Redbeard injected spiritual power into the shield. 5th grandpa continuously struck out several long sword shadows, but he could not break the shield's shadow. 5th great uncle shouted, "Daoyuan, be careful. I'm going to use the ultimate move of the profound dragon sea-flipping sword. With that, he held the sword with both hands, and the dragon carving on the sword seemed to come alive. The shadow of a black dragon more than 30 meters long flew out from the long sword. Wang Daoyuan also activated the black tortoise shield with all his might, and a 7-meter-long black tortoise phantom appeared above his head. The black dragon phantom pounced over and engaged in a fierce battle with the black tortoise phantom. Water-type spiritual power was actually both offensive and defensive, and it was also very versatile. However, to display its power, one needed to have extremely dense spiritual power. Among water-type cultivators, there was a huge difference in strength between those with high and low innate talent. Water-type cultivators with insufficient innate talent and insufficient spiritual power were known as the worst cultivators in fights of magical power, along with wood-type cultivators. If one had high innate talent and sufficient spiritual power, their water-type magical power would undergo a qualitative change, and they could even surpass metal-type and fire-type cultivators of the same rank. For example, a genius like the Wang clan's ancestor could instantly kill an enemy of a higher rank. Fifth great-uncle's innate talent was above average, and could be considered quite good, but it was not to the extent that he could make water-type magical power undergo a qualitative change. Therefore, the attack power of his black dragon phantom was just a so-so, and it could not penetrate the black tortoise's defense. After the stalemate lasted for half a cup of tea's time, fifth great-uncle withdrew the black dragon phantom. In general, the two could be considered to be evenly matched. After all, it was a spar, and they could not directly use their life-bound magic tools, or else both sides would be injured. Summoning a phantom was already the strongest move aside from the clash of magic tools. Fifth great-uncle was a little disappointed, and said, "I've been blood bonding with the profound dragon sea-turner sword for decades, and you've only been blood bonding with this shield for a few years. Now, I can't even win if we fight with our life-bound magic tools." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Fifth great-uncle, forgive me for being blunt, but your progress in blood bonding with magic tools is slow because the profound dragon sea-turner sword is not suitable for you. For cultivators with purple palace anomalies, it's best to combine their life-bound magic tools with their purple palace anomalies. When I was blood bonding, I used my purple palace anomalies to comprehend the black tortoise's charm, so my progress was naturally very fast. If I were to blood bond with a life-bound magic tool unrelated to the 5 elements divine beasts, my progress would be much slower than yours. The profound dragon sea-turner sword was created by the ancestor based on his own purple palace anomalies, while yours is a dragonfish. Although dragonfish is also a water-type dragon, there is still a big difference between it and a water dragon. The power of the profound dragon sea-turner sword naturally far surpassed that of ordinary life-bound magic tools. However, the progress of blood bonding is too slow, and it will delay your cultivation. Rather than that, you might as well use the profound dragon sea-turner sword as a reference and create your own life-bound magic tool. A life-bound magic tool that is more suitable for you will not necessarily be much weaker than the profound dragon sea-turner sword. In addition, the blood bonding speed is fast, so it won't delay your cultivation time. When your cultivation increases, your strength will naturally not be weak. Hearing this, fifth great-uncle fell into deep thought. After a long time, he nodded slightly and said, "You're right. I've always wanted to increase my strength as quickly as possible to shelter the clan from the wind and rain. I was too obsessed with the power of the profound dragon sea-turner sword. Forget it, now that you're stronger than me, I don't need to rush to increase my strength. I'll go to the dragonfish's corpse and go into seclusion, hoping to create the most suitable life-bound magic tool for myself." The two of them left the underground stone chamber, and fifth great-uncle went into seclusion. Wang Daoyuan returned to his cave abode and sighed softly. "Sigh, the 2 pillars of the clan have been dealt such a blow that they went into seclusion." He took out the prairie fire sword and the glazed flame dark iron shield, and claimed ownership of the 2 magic tools. When fighting with others, he could not take out his life-bound magic tools so easily. Moreover, the black tortoise shield's attack method was to create a black tortoise phantom to beat people up. With the black tortoise phantom speed, it could not hit people at all. Therefore, the black tortoise shield's attack ability was terrible. Before refining the white tiger blade, he still had to rely on spells to attack. Now that he had made all the preparations, it was time to find trouble with Scarlet Fox. He was almost pierced through the heart by a sword, so he had to ask for compensation. It would be best if he could compensate with a piece of Yin-Yang purple jade. He left Jade Spring Peak on his sword and headed for Fallen Dragon Ridge. From Fallen Dragon Ridge, he circled to the north of the mountain and headed to Wild Goose Market. After opening up his purple mansion, his divine sense cultivation had increased greatly. His panoramic perception and control range of his clone had also reached 500 kilometers. After entering the 500 kilometers of Wild Goose Market, Wang Daoyuan began to sense the situation of his clone. Bai Sheng was still safe and sound. In the few years that Wang Daoyuan was away, he did not step out of the house and refined weapons diligently. There were no problems. Lu Zong's side aroused Scarlet Fox's suspicion. After all, he was recruited by Wu Yi from outside. If there was something wrong with Wu Yi, he was also a major suspect. He was interrogated by Scarlet Fox many times. However, he had always pretended to be dumb and Scarlet Fox did not dare to use force. 2 of his 3 stewards were dead and this was the only one left. He could not get rid of this one as well. If all the stewards were gone, there would be no one who could shoulder the burden and the mystic Martin would have a chance to turn the tables. What shocked Wang Daoyuan the most was that Wu Yi was still alive. According to Wu Yi's memories, after Scarlet Fox healed him, she used the interrogation talisman many times to interrogate him. However, she could not get anything out of him. Scarlet Fox even used a secret technique to check on Wu Yi's soul and discovered that his soul was abnormal. However, she did not know what the problem was. She was not on good terms with Blood Shadow's headquarters and could not invite a Golden Core cultivator to help. She could only put Wu Yi under house arrest first. Chapter 367. Wang Daoyuan suppressed his cultivation to Peak Foundation establishment and changed his appearance to Wu Chuan's as he returned to the Wu clan's weapon workshop. For the next few days, he stayed in the Wu clan's weapon workshop. 7 days later, Scarlet Fox arrived at Wu Yi's cave abode. She stared at Wu Yi for a long time before saying, "You're different today. Is that thief who escaped after being struck by my sword back?" Wang Daoyuan was shocked. There was a difference in performance when the clone was not under his control. However, under the circumstances where he was not controlling the clone, the difference was extremely minute. It was just that he seemed more confident and there were slight changes in his mental appearance. To think that she could even notice such a small change, this woman's observation skills were way too terrifying. Wang Daoyuan pretended not to hear and did not control the clone either. Wu Yi's clone continued to remain silent like before. Scarlet Fox continued, "Do you think that I won't be able to guess who you are just because you refuse to admit it? The last time you fought with me, you used the Earth Divine Thunder and Heaven Burning Divine Fire. According to Blood Shadow's intelligence, those 2 dermic arts are in the hands of perfected Lei Yan. The Divine Weapon Pavilion is at the edge of the southern wilderness and is hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Shanbei Mountains. Why would you come here if you wanted to find trouble with Blood Shadow? Furthermore, the Divine Weapon Pavilion has never taken the initiative to provoke other factions, so you can't be from there. Someone who is close to the Shanbei Mountains and knows those 2 dermic arts is most likely from the Wang family. Furthermore, you used dermic arts of the 3 attributes of earth, fire and water one after another that day. Later on, the flying sword that blocked my destiny dermic weapon was of the metal attribute as well. You have spirit energy of 4 attributes and your cultivation technique is not weak either. I've truly never heard of there being a 4-attribute cultivation technique in this world. Therefore, you must be cultivating a 5-element cultivation technique. It's true that a Penta spirit root is powerful, but it's not easy to cultivate in the early stages and there are very few factions that are willing to nurture Penta spirit roots. There are very few Penta spirit roots foundation establishment cultivators in Beiyuan Shouxian to begin with. Those who can kill a grade 3 refined corpse and escape from my hands at peak foundation establishment can be counted on one hand. Possessing Penta spirit veins with such strength and being related to Daoist Lei Yan, who else could it be other than Wang Daoyuan? Wu Yi's clone didn't have any memories of Wang Daoyuan's true identity, so he didn't have any reaction to Crimson Fox's words. When Crimson Fox saw that Wu Yi remained unmoved, he continued, I don't know when you took control of Wu Yi, but you ought to know quite a bit about Blood Shadow. He should also know what kind of existence Blood Wolf was. If he knew the name of Blood Shadow, he would be hunted down by them. People like you who infiltrated Blood Shadow and obtained a large amount of information about Blood Shadow. It was unlikely that the headquarters would send out a golden core cultivator, but it was normal for them to send out a few dozen Violet Palace disciples. I wonder how many Zifu disciples your Wang clan can withstand. I don't have evidence, but Blood Shadow doesn't need evidence to kill people. There are many people who want to exterminate the Wang family, and the cruel Sun Palace has put out a bounty for hundreds of years. Using the Wang clan to threaten him, he had no choice but to comply. He was truly afraid that Crimson Fox would report this matter to Blood Shadow's headquarters. If Blood Shadow became ruthless, even the Netherworld's sect wouldn't be enough for them to torment. He came to Wild Goose Town this time to deal with Crimson Fox and save his clone. Now that she took the initiative to provoke him, he had no choice but to make a move. Wu Yi, who was controlling his clone, said, I'll wait for you at the place where we fought last time. Crimson Fox smiled, it's really you. After she finished speaking, she went to change her clothes and prepared to leave the underground branch. Wang Daoyuan also left the Wu clan's equipment forging workshop and flew towards the east on his kite. 2 hours later, he arrived at the edge of the sky/mountain range, the place where he fought with Crimson Fox previously. 6 hours later, Crimson Fox, who was wearing a red dress and a black cloak with golden edges, finally arrived. Wang Daoyuan was a little anxious from waiting. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan was already here, Crimson Fox smiled, I thought you were a cowardly rat. I didn't expect you to have some guts. You just established your Violet Palace realm and you dared to face me head-on. Wang Daoyuan said furiously, you took 10 hours to travel a distance of 7,000 miles. Are you an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator? After complaining, she adjusted her state of mind and continued, if we're talking about cowardly rats, Blood Shadow is the true cowardly one. You're clearly a top faction but you've been hiding for tens of thousands of years. However, you're too stupid. The reason why I came to Shanbei was to deal with you. If you hadn't seen through my identity, I wouldn't have dared to use all my methods. But now, I have nothing to worry about. Your cultivation isn't much higher than mine. If we fight at the same level, how many moves can you take from me? Crimson Fox was not angry. Indeed, I'm not a match for you at the same level. Apart from those peerless geniuses, no one else at the same level is a match for a Penta Spirit Roots cultivator. However, your understanding of the Violet Palace realm is too shallow. In just a few years, your Destiny Dermic weapon isn't nourished enough and can't unleash much strength. Don't worry, I won't kill you after I defeat you. You should know of my plan. Since you have the potential of a golden core, I want you to infiltrate Blood Shadow and help me complete my plan. If I want to subdue someone like you, I'll have to destroy your arrogance. Before she finished her sentence, a flying sword struck towards Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan wielded his prairie fire sword and fought against the flying sword. Crimson Fox's cultivation was higher and her spirit energy was more robust. Even though Wang Daoyuan's cultivation was lower, he was still a dabbler in sword cultivation. Even though she was at a disadvantage, Crimson Fox could not obtain victory easily. Crimson Fox summoned another flying sword and slashed towards him. Wang Daoyuan summoned his glazed flame mystic iron shield and blocked the flying sword. Fire attribute cultivators were strong in terms of killing power, but their ability to break through defenses was not strong. She could not break through Wang Daoyuan's shield in a short period of time. Crimson Fox wanted to suppress him with her cultivation but to no avail. Everyone knew that Penta Spirit Roots cultivators could last the longest in fights. If they were to fight a war of attrition, Penta Spirit Roots cultivators would definitely be the final winners. She conjured another Fire Phoenix Phantom and attacked Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan naturally knew what her motive was. She was relying on the fact that he had established his purple palace for a long time and had a strong spirit to compete with him in terms of spirit consciousness cultivation. At the same time, she had to control 2 grade 3 dermic weapons and use spells. For every additional dermic weapon or spell that one's spirit consciousness controlled, the consumption of spirit consciousness was not simply stacked. For every additional dermic weapon, the consumption of spirit consciousness would increase by several times. The more dermic weapons and spells one controlled, the easier it was for one's spirit energy to go out of control. Once it went out of control, the spirit energy would run amok within one's body and one would be severely injured even if one did not die. Since she had made her move, Wang Daoyuan had to receive it as well. He conjured his water dragon technique and conjured a water dragon that was more than 100 feet long, entangling with the fire phoenix. Wang Daoyuan's water dragon technique was half-baked as well. Relying on the special attribute of water spirit energy, it could attack the soul and attack the opponent directly. Its lethality was not bad. However, against the fire phoenix phantom, its special attribute was not of much use. The water dragon was naturally not the fire phoenix phantom's match either. But relying on attribute restraint, it could still continue to persist. The 2 people went from purely competing in spirit energy consumption to competing in spirit energy and spirit consciousness consumption. Even though Scarlet Fox had established his purple palace for more than 100 years and his spirit was extremely powerful, he also felt somewhat strained at this time. Before Wang Daoyuan established his purple palace, his spirit was already very strong. After establishing his purple palace, he still ate black jade nether lotus seeds as snacks. The strength of his spirit was also very high. The 2 people's spirit consciousness cultivation was more or less the same. Scarlet Fox wanted to end the battle quickly. His spirit consciousness power erupted, suppressing Wang Daoyuan's water dragon. Wang Daoyuan also erupted his spirit consciousness power right after, directly competing with Scarlet Fox in spirit consciousness. Competing in spirit consciousness power, they were evenly matched again. Scarlet Fox withdrew his spirit consciousness power and said in surprise, "Your spirit consciousness cultivation is actually so strong?" Wang Daoyuan did not say anything and also withdrew his spirit consciousness power. Taking out a jar of spirit peach dew, he drank a few mouthfuls. Then, he took out several black jade nether lotus seeds and ate them. Seeing this situation, Scarlet Fox completely gave up the idea of competing in consumption. Against a penta spirit roots cultivator, one should use an ultimate move to kill in a single blow. She withdrew her flying sword and fire phoenix phantom. Fiery red spirit energy surged on her body. Wang Daoyuan had been in a defensive state all along. At this time, he did not counterattack anymore and withdrew his flying sword and water dragon. Executing the golden rock wrestling dragon technique, he conjured the golden rock phantom. Chapter 368. 5 breaths later, the phantom of a phoenix divine bird with a wingspan of more than 600 feet appeared above Scarlet Fox. The divine bird was fiery red and did not have 5 colors like phoenixes. It did not have a gorgeous crest on its head and only had 5 long feathers on its tail. The illusory figure also let out a cry, which was different from the legendary phoenix cry. It sounded more like the sound of music. That divine bird should be Ilwan. It had the most pleasant voice of the phoenix race. The phoenix race was similar to the dragon race. Even if they were pure-blooded, there were many different types. There were 5 different colors of Luans and those that were fiery red were called Scarlet Luans. The spirit energy fluctuations released by the Scarlet Luan Phantom were far above that of the Fire Phoenix from before. Furthermore, unlike the Fire Phoenix from before, the Scarlet Luan Phantom was extremely agile and had an aura that made one respect it. It should have the charm of a Scarlet Luan that could make human cultivators fearful. It was definitely not something that the dragon might of his water dragon technique could compare to. If one could cultivate the charm of a dermic art and form a golden core in the future, they would be famous experts. In terms of talent, they should be at the level of his patriarch and even stronger than the 12th uncle. After all, the 12th uncle's water dragon technique was only so-so and could not threaten him in a battle of the same level. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan had also condensed the golden rock phantom. After his cultivation breakthrough, the Golden Rock Phantom had improved by quite a bit and its wingspan had reached more than 700 feet. 1,000-foot-long feathers were distributed on both wings of the Golden Rock. The Scarlet Yuan Phantom spread its wings and ignited a sea of flames within 1,000 feet radius. The surrounding vegetation was burned to ashes and even the soil on the ground was charred. Scarlet Fox controlled the Scarlet Yuan Phantom and flew towards him with a sea of flames. Wang Daoyuan gulped, feeling that it would be difficult to win with the Golden Rock alone. After all, although the Golden Rock Phantom was strong, he had not cultivated the charm and his dermic art was incomplete. Immediately, he used the heaven-burning divine fire technique and condensed a Beiyuan Phantom, extracting the spirit energy in the sea of flames to weaken the Scarlet Yuan Phantom. The Golden Rock Phantom was of the metal attribute and was not very useful against the Scarlet Yuan sea of flames. Wang Daoyuan controlled the Golden Rock to fly towards Scarlet Fox and attack him with the feather blades. The Red Yuan pounces over with a sea of fire. The Beiyuan can't extract the spiritual power of fire in a short period of time. He had no choice but to use smoke escape again to avoid the attack. Zifu disciples were able to use their divine sense to control the direction of their attacks. So long as Scarlet Fox was able to hold on, the illusion of the Crimson Yuan would be able to continue chasing after him. Using the cloud mist escape was just to buy time for the Beiyuan to weaken the Red Yuan's shadow even more. Wang Daoyuan split his attention into three. He controlled the Beiyuan Phantom to execute cloud mist escape and also controlled the Golden Rock Phantom to attack Scarlet Fox. It was already extremely strenuous for Scarlet Fox to control the Scarlet Yuan and the Sea of Flames. He did not have the remaining strength to cast powerful spells to resist the Golden Rock's Phantom. Flames flashed in front of her, and a fiery red longsword appeared out of thin air. The entire sword looked like a phoenix. The body of the sword was formed by several phoenix tail feathers coiled around it. The sword drum was the phoenix's wings, the sword hilt was the phoenix's neck, and the sword head was the phoenix's head. Her eyes were fixed on Wang Daoyuan the entire time as she channeled all her divine sense into the illusion of the Crimson Yuan. There was no need to expend any divine sense to control the longsword at all. As long as she channeled spirit energy, the longsword would automatically attack the Golden Rock Phantom. When a Destiny Dermic weapon was refined to a certain extent, the owner and the Destiny Dermic weapon would be connected mentally. With a single thought, the longsword would automatically attack according to the owner's intentions. Wang Daoyuan controlled the Golden Rock Phantom to release feather blades to attack Scarlet Fox. Her long sword slashed out streaks of fiery red sword beams, shattering the feather blades. Wang Daoyuan used smoke escape continuously and expended a lot of spirit energy as well. He took the time to drink a few mouthfuls of spirit wine and continued to lead the illusion of the Crimson Yuan on a stroll. After establishing his purple palace, the speed at which the Beiyuan Phantom extracted fire spirit energy became even faster. At that moment, a third of the sea of flames summoned by the illusion of the Crimson Yuan had already been extracted by the Beiyuan Phantom. As long as Wang Daoyuan held on for a little longer, he would be able to extract the entire sea of flames. However, the more fire spirit energy the Beiyuan Phantom absorbed, the more strenuous it would be for him to control it. On the contrary, it would be easier for Scarlet Fox. If he continued to multitask, his spirit consciousness would not be able to hold on for long. He controlled the Golden Rock Phantom to release all its feathers before charging towards Scarlet Fox. Scarlet Fox's Destiny Dermic weapon no longer released sword beams and the phoenix on the sword seemed to have come alive. A phoenix phantom was formed instantly and extended its wings, blocking all the feather blades. The Phoenix Phantom was also destroyed. This Phoenix Phantom was the Dharma characteristic of Scarlet Fox's Destiny Dermic weapon. Just like the Black Tortoise condensed by Wang Daoyuan's Black Tortoise shield, it was the strongest technique apart from the Destiny Dermic weapon itself. The Golden Rock arrived instantly and slashed its long sword at the Golden Rock. Wang Daoyuan detonated the Golden Rock Phantom directly and the long sword was blown away, turning dull. The owner would be implicated if the Destiny Dermic weapon was damaged. Scarlet Fox spat out a mouthful of blood and retracted her long sword back into her dantian. She was already at a disadvantage in this battle. Her destiny dermic weapon was damaged and she was only left with a crimson Luan phantom. Furthermore, she was being toyed with by Wang Daoyuan. The sea of fire was about to be sucked dry by the Baifeng. If this dragged on, she would be in an even more passive position. Scarlet Fox revealed a resolute expression. The crimson Luan phantom absorbed the sea of fire into its body. Not only did it not grow stronger, it was shrinking instead. When its wingspan shrank to 100 feet, Scarlet Fox's glabella emitted a purple glow and the cry of a crimson Luan could be heard. The crimson Luan phantom let out the same cry and lunged towards Wang Daoyuan. This was Purple Mansion Resonance, a secret skill that could only be released by cultivators with a Purple Mansion phenomenon. It was usually released with a Destiny dermic weapon, and the Dharma characteristic of the Destiny dermic weapon was similar to the Purple Mansion phenomenon. Purple Mansion Resonance was usually released with a Destiny dermic weapon. It was even more difficult to release it with a dermic art. If Scarlet Fox released Purple Mansion Resonance, her Purple Mansion phenomenon should be a Crimson Luan as well. After releasing Purple Mansion Resonance, the power of dermic arts would increase tremendously. At that moment, the Crimson Luan phantom was extremely fast and Wang Daoyuan could not dodge it even with Cloud Mist Escape. The Baifeng phantom could not block it in time and could only summon the Black Tortoise Shield and conjure the Black Tortoise Dharma characteristic to block the Crimson Luan. The Black Tortoise Shield alone would not be able to withstand the Crimson Luan phantom. The Wang clan patriarch's Purple Mansion phenomenon was the Water Dragon, which could produce Purple Mansion Resonance with his dermic weapon and the Water Dragon technique. Naturally, he would not let go of the Purple Mansion Resonance secret skill. Wang Daoyuan had also learned this secret skill. However, he had only nurtured the Black Tortoise Shield for a short period of time and the success rate of releasing Purple Mansion Resonance was not high. At that moment, the Crimson Luan was only 100 feet away from him and he only had one chance. If he succeeded, he would barely be able to withstand the Crimson Luan. If he failed, even if he did not die, he would not be left with much life. He injected a large amount of spiritual sense into the Black Tortoise rune outside his Purple Mansion. The Black Tortoise rune immediately turned into a Black Tortoise phantom and let out a roar. Wang Daoyuan immediately injected the power of the phantom into the Black Tortoise Shield. In the blink of an eye, the Crimson Luan and the Black Tortoise dermic projection collided. The Black Tortoise dermic projection was still a little weak and was struggling to withstand the Crimson Luan head-on. Soon, it was broken. The Crimson Luan phantom also dimmed a lot and its power was less than a third of before. After that, the Crimson Luan crashed into the Black Tortoise Shield and exploded. Thankfully, the Black Tortoise Shield's defense was strong enough to withstand the blow. Even though it was not shattered, it was severely damaged. It would take at least a few months for it to recover. Wang Daoyuan was also implicated when his Destiny dermic weapon was damaged. Coupled with the power of the Crimson Luan phantom's self-destruction, Wang Daoyuan felt as though his chest was on fire. He only felt better after spitting out a few mouthfuls of blood. He only had about 10% of his spiritual sense left. He was unable to control the Baifeng phantom anymore. After dispersing the Baifeng phantom, he cast rejuvenation on himself and his injuries recovered slightly. Taking out the spirit peach dew, he drank a few mouthfuls and swallowed a few black jade lotus seeds. Scarlet Fox's final attack was also done with all her might and she did not have much spiritual sense left. Her injuries were much lighter than Wang Daoyuan's. She also took out a few elixirs and consumed them. Wang Daoyuan condensed an earth divine thunder in his hands and smiled. Who do you think has a higher chance of winning if we continue fighting? Scarlet Fox took out a fiery red pearl that had an extremely violent spirit energy fluctuation. Smiling, she asked, "What do you think?" Chapter 369. Although Wang Daoyuan hadn't seen this item before, he was extremely familiar with it. The pearl contained pure fire attribute spiritual energy, but also had the power of thunder. The method used to refine it was of the same origin as the remaining Gue water lightning pearl in his possession. Without a doubt, this was the third fire lightning pearl. From the ripples of spiritual energy, one could tell that it was at least of the third grade, or even the fourth grade. In other words, the third fire lightning sealed within this third fire lightning pearl was at least unleashed by a late Zifu disciple. The third grade third fire lightning pearl had the ability to injure early Aurus core stage cultivators. As long as a Zifu disciple was within its attack range, the chances of survival were slim. Even if Wang Daoyuan's Xuanwu shield was in perfect condition, it wouldn't be able to withstand such an attack. Moreover, the attack range of this item was extremely terrifying. Once detonated, there would be absolutely no chance of survival within half a kilometer. At this moment, the distance between Wang Daoyuan and Scarlet Fox was only around half a kilometer. Once the third fire lightning pearl detonated, its power would instantly erupt. Even if he used the cloud mist escape to travel through the air, he wouldn't be able to escape its attack range. If Scarlet Fox really went crazy and detonated the third fire lightning pearl without regard for anything else, both of them would die. Brash when facing the weak, cowardly when facing the strong. This was Wang Daoyuan's usual way of doing things. Now that he had met someone he couldn't afford to offend, he naturally had to cower. Wang Daoyuan smiled amiably. "Senior, you have to be careful. If this accidentally detonates, both of us will die. Think about it, if you die, that bitch Xian Martin will take over all the men you left behind. That enemy of yours at Bloodshadow's headquarters can even smile crookedly. I shoulder the heavy responsibility of reviving my clan. I have a 230-year-old grandfather and a younger brother who cries piteously for food. They all depend on me to feed them. I don't want to die, and you shouldn't want to die either. Originally, I didn't have the intention to kill you. I only wanted to take revenge for the injury from last time. My main goal is still to cooperate with you. There's no need to fight and kill." Hearing this, Scarlet Fox laughed out loud. "That 230-year-old grandfather of yours is Wang Jiza, right? He's a bit older than me, and a foundation establishment stage cultivator. Indeed, he doesn't have many days left. As for your brother who is crying piteously for food, according to the information I have, you should only have one biological brother. Wang Daoyin, the last disciple of Daoist Lei Yan, should be over 90 years old now, right? What's wrong? Your brother is over 90 years old and still hasn't stopped drinking milk." Wang Daoyuan smiled awkwardly, but at the same time, he felt relieved. Scarlet Fox could still think and analyze normally, indicating that she would not be hot-headed to detonate the third fire thunder bead for the time being. Before Chen Shi could reply, Crimson Fox continued. "Cooperation is fine, but you have to let Wu Yi go. He was personally promoted by me, and he's a capable subordinate of mine. It was not easy to find a useful subordinate. All these years, I was able to suppress that bitch Xian Martin because of Wu Yi. I can't ignore him." Wang Daoyuan shook his head and said, "There's no point in letting him go. If I don't care about him, he'll immediately become a fool. Back then, when he tried to assassinate me, I had already dealt with him. All these years, he has been helping you recruit soldiers and buy horses under my control. The one who truly helped you suppress the Xian Martin has always been me. He himself is a brave but not astute fellow. If he really had the ability to help you suppress the Xian Martin, why didn't he do it earlier? If it really doesn't work, I'll pass on the secret of recruiting soldiers to you. You can recruit as many soldiers as you want. Isn't suppressing that idiot Xian Martin as easy as playing?" Crimson Fox pondered for a moment and said, "Since you have the ability, then you can join Blood Shadow yourself. Now that you've already established the Violet Palace, you can join Blood Shadow and complete a few missions. Soon, you'll be able to become a Vice Hall Master. The two of us can suppress her together. I don't believe that anyone will be willing to follow her. How about it, if you agree, we'll cooperate. If you don't, then I'll detonate the fire lightning pearl. You'll definitely die, but I might not. Do you dare to try?" Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't dare to try. He didn't have the means to resist the fire lightning pearl. Joining Blood Shadow didn't matter. After all, it was just another identity, and he didn't need to use his real name to join. He had wandered the world for many years and had many identities. He didn't care about having another identity as a Vice Hall Master of Blood Shadow. He nodded and said, I agree to join Blood Shadow, but I can't reveal my true identity. Crimson Fox didn't even think about it and nodded. That's not a problem. Those with code names in Blood Shadow aren't willing to reveal their true identity. There are many such people in the headquarters. Even if you become a Golden Core Realm cultivator in the future, you don't have to reveal your true identity. You said you want to cooperate with me. How do you want to cooperate? Wang Daoyuan said, I need many things in Blood Shadow. For example, information, Yang purple jade, and some precious spiritual herbs and refining materials. As for what I can provide, I feel that you should need the Violet Rhythm Pill. According to what I know, you've been in the Shanbei branch for hundreds of years. You were in the Violet Palace realm when you came, and after so many years, you're only in the mid-stage Violet Palace realm. With your talent, you should be at least in the late-stage Violet Palace realm. As for your slow cultivation, it should be a problem with resources. The spiritual vein in Guiyan Market is only a third-grade low-grade spiritual vein, and it's also a non-elemental spiritual vein. It's indeed not enough for you. The main ingredient of the Violet Rhythm Pill is the Violet Rhythm Dragon Ginseng. Very few people are willing to grow it in large quantities. I believe that Blood Shadow's headquarters doesn't have much of it, right? I happen to have quite a lot of it. When my alchemy skills improve, I can refine the Violet Rhythm Pill myself and give you some. With the Violet Rhythm Pill, it won't be too difficult for you to break through to the Golden Core realm. At that time, your enemy won't be able to cover the sky with one hand and make the headquarters give up on a Golden Core realm cultivator. Crimson Fox thought for a moment and said, I originally didn't have any hopes of forming a Golden Core and returning to the headquarters. Later on, I wanted to nurture a subordinate with the potential of a Golden Core realm cultivator to enter the upper echelons of Blood Shadow and help me deal with my enemy. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a suitable one after searching for over 100 years. Since you have the Violet Rhythm Pill and can give me the hope of forming a Golden Core and taking revenge personally, I agree to cooperate with you. You help me suppress the Mystic Sable and provide me with the Violet Rhythm Pill. I'll provide you with what you want. That's right, do you still have the seeds of the Inky Jade Serene Lotus? Wang Daoyuan looked at the third Fire Lightning Pearl in her hand and said, Put away this life-threatening thing first. I'm a coward. Looking at this thing, my hair stands on end. Crimson Fox said with a smile, You're too sinister. I don't trust you. My spiritual power and consciousness are exhausted now. If I put away the third Fire Lightning Pearl, I won't be able to block you if you attack me. Give me a jar of wine that recovers spiritual power first and 5 Inky Jade Serene Lotus seeds. Wait until my consciousness and cultivation have recovered completely, then I'll put away the third Fire Lightning Pearl. Wang Daoyuan took out a jar of wine and 2 Inky Jade Serene Lotus seeds and said, Do you think these lotus seeds are cabbages? You want 5 of them right away. However, I don't trust you either. Let me retreat 3 miles away and I'll give you the things. To him, the Inky Jade Serene Lotus seeds were indeed similar to cabbages. However, this matter definitely couldn't be revealed. Crimson Fox thought for a moment and shook her head, 2 lotus seeds are fine. However, you have to retreat 5 miles away. You still have the ability to ambush me at a distance of 3 miles. Put the things on the ground and retreat 5 miles away. Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't have any objections. Retreating 5 miles away, he was also safe. Placing the jar of spirit peach dew and the 2 lotus seeds on the ground, he turned around and executed the cloud mist escape. Crossing the void, he fled into the distance. After he was more than 2 miles away from Crimson Fox, he let out a long sigh of relief. At this distance, the third Fire Lightning Pearl couldn't threaten him anymore. After that, he slowly walked to 5 miles away. He also didn't have the confidence to ambush Crimson Fox. After all, he came from a major power and had many defensive items on him. If he killed Crimson Fox and Blood Shadow investigated, he wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. As for refining into a clone, the difficulty was too great. Opening the Purple Mansion and having the Purple Mansion phenomenon, it was very difficult for the soul-splitting blade to injure her divine soul. In any case, the things he wanted could be exchanged. There was no need to take this risk. Chapter 370. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan was 2.5 kilometers away, Scarlet Fox heaved a sigh of relief. After all, she did not want to die either. She cast a Dharma spell and conjured a Scarlet Luan phantom with a wingspan of about 3 feet to bring the wine and lotus seeds back. She swallowed 2 lotus seeds and conjured a jar of spirit peach dew into a stream of water before swallowing it. She drank an entire jar of wine in one go. Her alcohol tolerance was really good. Thereafter, she sat down and meditated to recover her spirit energy and spirit consciousness. 15 minutes later, she finished refining the black jade nether lotus and stood up to put away the 3rd fire lightning pearl. She smiled. I've recovered. Do you dare to fight again? Wang Daoyuan walked forward and replied, our destiny Dharma weapons are both damaged. I can't defend against your Scarlet Luan and you can't defend against my Golden Rock. If we continue fighting, both of us will be injured. That's right, your Scarlet Luan phantom is rather extraordinary and seems to have a hint of charm. If not for the fact that the Baifeng phantom weakened it, I wouldn't have been able to withstand that attack. Based on what I know, there are only 2 lineages in Beiyuan Shouxian that can conjure the phantom of a phoenix divine bird and possess such a powerful legacy. One of them is the royal family of Zhou and the other is the royal family of Chu. Before the various countries fought for hegemony, Emperor Zhou was the common ruler of the human race. The current royal families of various countries were all vassals under Emperor Zhou. Until now, the royal families of many countries were still branches of the Zhou family. For example, the Wei country. It had been more than 30,000 years since the establishment of the Zhou country. There were many branches and many people who changed their surnames. For example, the Shi family of River Sun was also a distant branch of the Zhou royal family. The phoenix travel that Shi Zhenbang conjured back then was also a legacy of the Zhou royal family. The royal family of Chu and Zhou were not the same family. Although their legacies were similar, they were not closely related. Furthermore, the descendants of the Chu royal family did not cover the entire human territory like the Zhou royal family. Therefore, the possibility of Scarlet Fox being a member of the Zhou family was the greatest. Scarlet Fox did not avoid anything. My name is Zhou Wan and I'm considered a distant branch of the Zhou royal family. It's not rare for the Zhou royal family to have descendants all over the world. On the other hand, the Golden Rock Phantom that you conjured was able to possess such might despite having a form but no spirit. It's definitely not a Golden Core legacy. According to the information I have, about 50,000 years ago, there was a famous Yuanian cultivator known as True Lord Golden Rock. Wang Daoyuan was amazed by Blood Shadow's ability to pry into people's privacy. This was the first time someone had seen through the origins of the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "All right, let's stop testing each other. I have a lot of experience in infiltrating the Blood Shadow branch." However, as for how to get to the position of Vice Hall Master, they had to discuss it first. My plan is to enter Blood Shadow as a Peak Foundation establishment loose cultivator and get a position as a manager. With Quiet Wolf as a precedent, it shouldn't be a problem. After that, I went to kill the 2 leaders of the Red Beard Bandits. Their bounties should be over 1,000,000 spirit stones. After I kill them, I'll exchange them for a piece of yin-yang purple jade. Afterwards, he would leave the branch for a few years, then return as a Zifu disciple. It's up to you to decide what to do next. The only thing I'm worried about is whether the Black Marten has the ability to see through my disguise. If she sees through my concealment, it'll be troublesome. After all, a Zifu disciple definitely has an ulterior motive for joining the Blood Shadow branch. After saying that, he suppressed his cultivation to the peak of Foundation establishment. Scarlet Fox used his divine sense to scan him and replied, "Your concealment technique is quite brilliant. Even with my divine sense, I can't see through your true cultivation. That bitch, the Black Marten, doesn't even need to be mentioned. If she really had the ability, she wouldn't have been sent to Shanbei to deal with me. Your method of entering the branch will work, but it'll be difficult for you to become a vice hall master in the future. I have the authority to appoint managers, and I have the authority to manage all the affairs of the branch. However, the vice hall master must be appointed by the headquarters. If you are brought into the branch by me, even if you reveal your identity as a Zifu disciple, it'll be very difficult for you to become a vice hall master. Even if you become a vice hall master, you'll be transferred out of Shanbei to another branch, and we won't be able to work together. If you were brought into the branch by a vice hall master, it'll be very easy for you to become a vice hall master. That bitch, the Black Martin, doesn't want to stay here either. You just have to make her believe that you're one of her people. When you reveal your identity as a Zifu disciple, she'll definitely eagerly report to the headquarters and let you become a vice hall master so that she can return to the headquarters. As for how you'll gain her trust, that'll depend on your ability. Thinking about it carefully, it really made sense. Scarlet Fox's enemy could push Scarlet Fox, a future higher-up, out of the headquarters. If he applied to become a vice hall master with his identity as a rogue cultivator, he'll definitely be suppressed. Only by making use of the Black Martin's desire to leave the branch and making her apply would he have a chance of passing. If he wanted to gain the Black Martin's trust, taking the initiative to deliver himself to her door was the most unreliable. The Black Martin had 2 managers under her, and it'd be best if he could refine one of them into a doppelganger and use the doppelganger to bring him into the branch. This way, the credibility would be much higher. After pondering for a long time, Wang Daoyuan said, "Think of a way to make one of the managers under the Black Martin go out on a mission. It's best if he goes alone. If he can't go alone, then arrange a mission with a higher risk. I'll take the opportunity to control him. A rogue cultivator recruited by the Black Martin's manager, she should believe me, right? When the time comes, we'll put on another show. You've suppressed me in every possible way and sent me to carry out dangerous missions. I'll bear a grudge against you and become the Black Martin's hardcore supporter. After that, I'll recruit more than 10 Foundation establishment cultivators. You'll take care of Yulang's subordinates while you're at it. The loyal ones will be recruited as direct subordinates, and the useless ones will be taken care of. Let the Black Martin surpass you on the surface, and then I'll reveal my Zifu realm cultivation. This way, the headquarters will be assured to let me become the Vice Hall Master." Scarlet Fox nodded and said, "Your method is not bad. Your method of controlling people is extremely brilliant. I used a secret technique and could only see that there's something wrong with Wu Yi's soul. Normally, I couldn't see any flaws at all. If it wasn't for the support of the headquarters, that idiot Black Martin would have been taken care of by me long ago. If you control her manager, she'll definitely not discover it. It'd be best if you can control both managers. Let her subordinates become my men. It's just that my current strength far exceeds hers. If you want her to suppress me on the surface, it might take a long time." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Isn't that simple? Find a dangerous mission and give it to Wu Yi. Once Wu Yi dies, you'll recruit the reliable subordinates as direct subordinates. I'll rope in the unreliable ones and get rid of the rest." Although the Black Martin doesn't have many suitable managers, she has a lot of direct subordinates. The number of direct subordinates you have now is probably less than the Black Martin, right? Direct subordinates don't often carry out missions and don't attract attention. If you recruit more direct subordinates, it won't show how strong you are. At that time, the Black Martin will have 3 managers while you'll only have 1 manager, Lu Zong. Won't she be able to suppress you on the surface? Zhou Wan nodded and said, "You're really black-hearted. You're able to get rid of your own subordinates just like that. This is indeed possible. Anyway, Wu Yi is your man. Whether he dies or not has nothing to do with me." "That's right, Lu Zong is also under your control, right?" She was already suspicious. There was no point in hiding it. He might as well admit it openly. Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "He's indeed one of my men." Zhou Wan was so angry that she wanted to attack. "You're really capable. Of the 3 managers under me, 2 of them are your men. The last one was killed by you. If it wasn't for the fact that Yu Lang was chasing after Wu Yi and was discovered by me, I'm afraid I would have been replaced by you. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, it's not that bad. It's not easy to make a move against a Zifu disciple. Besides, are you willing to work with an idiot or with someone like me? As long as you don't have any ideas about my clan, there's no conflict of interest between us. There's also no need to scheme against you. Chapter 371. The relationship between the Wang clan and Blood Shadow was that someone had paid money to kill a member of the Wang clan. Blood Shadow took the money but did not complete the task. There was no conflict of interest in other aspects. Although the Wang clan's reward was still up, no one was willing to accept it. After all, everyone knew that the Wang clan's foundation establishment cultivators were not easy to deal with. Blood Shadow would not risk being discovered and send a Zifu realm cultivator to deal with the Wang clan for a clan with no conflict of interest. Of course, the prerequisite was that Blood Shadow's headquarters did not know what Wang Daoyuan had done. Otherwise, they would have to send a Golden Core cultivator to deal with him. Zhou Wan was also not stupid enough to report Wang Daoyuan's matter to headquarters. She handed a jade talisman to Wang Daoyuan and said, I only want to kill my enemy and avenge my father. I have no interest in going against your Wang clan. We'll follow your plan. I'll go back and slowly arrange it. When the two stewards under the Black Sable go out on a mission, I'll contact you again. This message talisman can be used within 10,000 miles. With that, she left on her sword and returned to Guiyan Market. There was no point for Wang Daoyuan to continue staying here. His cooperation with Zhou Wan had already been decided. His top priority now was to repair his natal magic weapon. The Xuanwu shield was also at a disadvantage. It was heavily damaged in its first direct confrontation with a Zifu realm cultivator. He rode the kite back to Guiyan Market and repaired his natal magic weapon at the Wu clan's equipment workshop. The spirit vein of Guiyan Market was non-elemental. It was perfect for Wang Daoyuan. When he returned to the crafting workshop, his clone Bai Sheng was still working diligently on the crafting work. No one would come to the equipment workshop to buy level 3 magic weapons. With Bai Sheng taking care of him, it was enough. He cultivated in the cave residence in the backyard and repaired the Xuanwu shield. It had to be said that Zhou Wan's final move was too powerful. The Xuanwu shield was severely damaged. The magic weapon itself was fine. After all, it was made from spirit spring pearls, which were between solid and liquid. As long as it was not destroyed instantly, it was easy to repair. The tool inscriptions were the most severely damaged. 1/3 of the tool inscriptions drawn with divine consciousness had been destroyed. It would take at least a month or two to repair these tool inscriptions. In addition, the shield had been roasted by the flames and had lost a lot of its source energy. The origins within a natal dermic artifact determined its strength and grade. The source of an artifact needed to be nourished with spiritual power and true yuan in order to recover. After staying in the weapon workshop for more than 3 months, he finally restored the Black Tortoise shield to its original state. There was also news from Scarlet Fox's side. She had already chosen a mission for Mystic Martin's subordinates. The next step was to lure those two stewards to carry out this mission. She didn't reveal the details of the mission, and Wang Daoyuan couldn't be bothered to know what the mission was as long as it didn't delay him from refining his clone. After contacting Crimson Fox, Wang Daoyuan originally wanted to continue nurturing his magic weapon, but an uninvited guest came. It was not a stranger, but Biyao from the White Fox tribe. Wang Daoyuan had rented the weapon refining workshop for more than 30 years. Back then, Biyao was at the 3rd level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. Now, she was only at the 4th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. However, her appearance hadn't changed at all and she still looked like a young girl. This wasn't surprising. The lifespan of a half-demon was between that of a human and a demon. As for how old they could live, it depended on their demon bloodline. If the ancestors of the White Fox tribe truly had the bloodline of the 9-tailed celestial fox, it wouldn't be strange for Biyao to live for 500 to 600 years with her Foundation Establishment Realm cultivation. 30 years wasn't even a tenth of her lifespan. In all aspects, half-demons were between humans and demons, be it in terms of lifespan or cultivation speed. They could use dermic weapons and their intelligence was close to that of humans. There were also demons with strong physical bodies and special physical talents. Of course, their flaws were obvious as well. They weren't like demon beasts who could reach a certain cultivation realm just by developing their bloodline without any comprehension. They weren't like human cultivators who had unlimited potential either. Therefore, half-demons cultivated slower than humans and there was no guarantee of what realm they could reach. Their perception was also much worse than that of humans, and their cultivation of the 100 arts of immortal cultivation was a complete mess. This time, Biyao sent over a wolf tooth that was more than 2 feet long that needed to be refined into a flying sword. It wasn't the first time she sent over a wolf bone, so there was nothing strange about it. This time, she even asked to meet Wang Daoyuan. This shop was the territory of the White Fox tribe and he had been back for a few months. He definitely couldn't hide it from them. Wang Daoyuan left the cave abode and went to the weapon refinement room. He asked, "Dao Yu Bai, long time no see. Why are you looking for me?" Biyao bowed and said, "It's been a long time. I didn't expect Wu Dao Yu to be at the peak of Foundation Establishment realm. I should call you Senior Wu from now on. I wonder if your weapon refinement skills have reached the 3rd level?" Wang Daoyuan didn't refuse Biyao's respectful title. It was normal for a mid-stage Foundation Establishment realm cultivator to call a peak Foundation Establishment realm cultivator senior. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "I was lucky to have made a small improvement in my weapon refinement skills a few years ago. Now, I can indeed refine inferior grade 3rd level dermic weapons." Biyao was overjoyed. Her fox ears trembled and she hurriedly closed the door of the weapon refinement workshop. She took out a storage bag and bowed. "Senior Wu, I have 2 inferior grade 3rd level materials here. I would like to ask you to help me refine flying swords. As long as they can reach the standard of inferior grade 3rd level flying swords, it'll be fine. If you can refine one of them, you'll be paid 10,000 spirit stones. If you can refine 2 of them, I'm willing to buy the second flying sword for 30,000 spirit stones." Wang Daoyuan took the storage bag and opened it. His expression didn't change, but there was a storm in his heart. Inside were 2 fangs of a wolf-type demonic beast that had just been pulled out. Judging from the spiritual power fluctuations, it should be the fangs of an inferior grade 3rd level demonic wolf and a few pieces of inferior grade 3rd level metal materials. He took out the fangs and looked at them carefully. The fangs were 3 feet long and there were vertical ridges on them. The spaces between the ridges were like blood grooves. A 3rd level demonic wolf with such fangs could only be a bloodthirsty ash wolf. It seemed that the White Fox tribe had been fighting against the bloodthirsty ash wolves all these years. However, the bloodthirsty ash wolves were a strong tribe among the demonic beasts and there should be more than 1 4th level demonic beast. The White Fox tribe only had a few Violet Palace realm half-demons and not a single golden core. Where did they get the guts to go against the bloodthirsty ash wolves? He pretended as if nothing had happened and said, "These 2 fangs are well preserved and there's not much spiritual power loss. It won't be a problem to refine inferior grade 3rd level flying swords. I'll take this job." Biyao was overjoyed and thanked him again before leaving the weapon refinement workshop. Wang Daoyuan handed the materials to Bai Sheng. Although he was in superior grade 2nd level weapon refinement master and didn't have the ability to refine inferior grade 3rd level flying swords, it wasn't a problem for him to handle the materials. He returned to his cave abode and used his perception to scan Wu Yi and Lu Zong's memories to see if there was any information about the White Fox tribe. In the end, he found nothing. The 2 of them didn't know anything about the White Fox tribe. It wasn't a small matter that 3rd level demonic beasts had died in the war between the demonic beasts and half-demons. Given Blood Shadow's intelligence, it was impossible for him to know nothing about such a huge matter. It was possible that he didn't have the authority to know such information. Now that Zhou Wan knew that Wu Yi and Lu Zong were under his control, there was no need for him to go through the trouble and ask her directly. Although Lu Zong was Zhou Wan's subordinate, he wasn't a direct descendant and it wasn't good for him to go to Zhou Wan's cave abode directly. Now that Wu Yi was released from house arrest, he continued to be the fourth steward. As for Wu Yi's disappearance for the past few years, Zhou Wan's explanation was that he was severely injured by bandits when he was out on a mission. Wu Yi used to frequent Zhou Wan's cave abode and it wasn't too conspicuous to ask her about the situation. Chapter 372. Wang Daoyuan controlled his doppelganger, Wu Yi, to arrive at Zhou Wan's estate. As a middle Zifu disciple, Zhou Wan naturally knew that Wu Yi had arrived at her door. The door to the estate opened, and Wang Daoyuan walked in. After Wu Yi entered, the door closed. The second door to the estate was open, but Zhou Wan was not in front. Wu Yi's doppelganger sat down on a chair, then picked up a spirit fruit from the table and began to eat. Zhou Wan's voice rang out from behind the second door. "Are you Wang Daoyuan or Wu Yi?" While eating, the doppelganger said, "Do you even need to ask? Does Wu Yi have the guts? Why are you staying in your room and not coming out? Do you want to invite me in? I've never entered a woman's room before, especially one of a Zifu disciple." Zhou Wan laughed softly. "Then come in." Wang Daoyuan was somewhat speechless. He controlled his doppelganger to say, "Forget it. You can come out and talk." Zhou Wan let out a laugh that sounded like a clear spring. She truly lived up to her reputation as a crimson Wan. Her voice was quite pleasant to the ear. After waiting for more than an hour, Wu Yi's doppelganger had finished eating a plate of spirit fruit. Only then did she walk out of her room, dressed in a red robe that saved a great deal of fabric. She walked in front of the stone table, then sat down on a chair and crossed her legs. Wu Yi laughed. "By the way, is our branch this poor? Even the hallmaster has to take the lead in saving a great deal of fabric. I have to hold some mystic ice chalcedony in my hands when I talk to you." Zhou Wan laughed for a while, then said, "I didn't expect that the genius of the four Dao of alchemy, artifact, and talisman, Wang Daoyuan, was actually a lecher. The Wang clan is a clan with 700 years of history. In the past, it even had the title of Marquis of Jade Spring. You're a member of a noble clan, but you haven't even learned the rules of see no harm?" Wang Daoyuan didn't seem to care about her mockery. He replied, "I learned it with my mouth, but not my eyes." Zhou Wan laughed for a long time before she asked, "You didn't come here to talk nonsense, did you? If you have something to say, just say it." Wang Daoyuan replied, "I want to know where the White Fox tribe got the guts to kill a rank 3 bloodthirsty ash wolf. You should have some information on your side. I'll see if there's a chance to fan the flames and blow things up." Zhou Wan asked curiously, "How do you know about this? Blood shadow doesn't provoke half-demon beasts and half-demon beasts easily. I only collect information about them and don't disclose it to the public. Logically speaking, you shouldn't know about the conflict between the White Fox tribe and the bloodthirsty ash wolf. What's more, I've only just received the news that the White Fox tribe killed a rank 3 bloodthirsty ash wolf. Where did you get the news from?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "Just now, Biyao of the White Fox tribe sent 2 bloodthirsty ash wolf fangs to me and asked me to refine 2 low-grade 3 flying swords. No matter what, I'm still a low-grade 3 weapon refiner. How can I not recognize the fangs that were just plucked out?" Zhou Wan asked again, "Sent to you?" "I've sent people to keep an eye on Biyao. Didn't he send it to the Wu clan's weapon refinery?" Wang Daoyuan was stunned for a moment. "You were too careless. After all this fuss, you didn't know about my hidden identity here. After the fight with you, I didn't deliberately conceal it. I thought you had already discovered me." Zhou Wan smiled. "That shop used to be a weapon refinery owned by a kid from the Archaic Mysteries sect. I've always sent people to keep an eye on it. After he left, I didn't care about it anymore. I didn't expect you to be hiding in this weapon refinery. 50 years ago, the White Fox tribe started recruiting human cultivators who were proficient in pill refinery, weapon refinery, and talisman arrays. At that time, I felt that it was a little strange and sent people to investigate the situation of the White Fox tribe. At that time, the White Fox tribe was fighting with the bloodthirsty Ash Wolf pack. The bloodthirsty Ash Wolf tribe was indeed an extremely powerful tribe among the demon race. They had as many as 6 rank 4 wolf kings. However, their internal structure was also a sheet of loose sand. The rank 4 wolf kings didn't submit to each other and each occupied different territories. There wasn't much interaction between them. In the northeast direction of the White Fox tribe, there was a bloodthirsty Ash Wolf pack. This wolf pack was very powerful. Other than the rank 4 wolf king, there were also 20 rank 3 wolf demons. The wolf pack relied on their tyrannical strength and often bullied the surrounding half-demon tribes. Even some of the weaker demon races nearby were bullied by them. More than 70 years ago, the wolf king of this wolf pack had a conflict with a demon king in the sky/mountain range and was severely injured. Moreover, his foundation was injured and there was no hope of recovery. Not only was his cultivation unable to improve, he had to avoid fighting as much as possible. Although the wolf pack tried their best to cover it up, there was no such thing as an absolute secret. This matter was still known by a few half-demon tribes. The surrounding half-demon tribes that were bullied by the wolf pack joined forces to deal with the wolf pack. The Silver Fox tribe joined forces with the White Fox tribe. The Silver Fox tribe had a golden core half-demon. However, his strength was far inferior to the Ash Wolf King. In the past, he didn't dare to fight the wolf pack head-on. Now that the Ash Wolf King was half-crippled and didn't dare to show himself, the half-demon tribes were emboldened and naturally dared to fight the wolf pack. The tribes also didn't dare to push too hard. They were afraid that the Ash Wolf King would fight to the death and cause too much damage to them. Therefore, all these years, there were only small conflicts. In a small-scale war of attrition, the half-demons had the advantage because they could use human artifacts, talismans, and formations. This was also the reason why the White Fox tribe recruited rogue cultivators for more than 50 years. As for why it suddenly became so big and started killing rank 3 wolf demons, my people are also investigating. Why are you interested in this matter? Is the Wang family planning to expand to the north of the mountain? Wu Yi's clone shook his head and said, the Wang family naturally won't expand to the north of the mountain. We just want to see if there's a chance to cause trouble. If we can cause a war between the demon race and the half-demons, the human race will have a chance to completely occupy the north of the mountain. Then, the Wang family won't have to worry about the north being unstable. Of course, Wang Daoyuan wasn't thinking about this. He was worried about the path that the 10,000 corpse Daoyuan took to the north of the mountain. According to the records in the vast sea observation log, the place where the 10,000 corpse Daoyuan crossed the sky/mountain range was not far from the White Fox tribe's territory. He also planned to migrate some of his tribesmen from there and take root in the east of the sky/mountain range to build the third cave for his family. Now that there were half-demon tribes and wolf packs over there, it was too risky to migrate his tribesmen under their noses. It was better to muddy the waters and let both sides suffer losses so that it would be easier for him to do things. Wang Daoyuan asked, do you have any missions to hunt demons and half-demons? Zhou Wan said without hesitation, the Blood Shadow will accept missions from humans and half-demons, but not demons. After all, the founder started by killing other races, and half-demons can barely be considered humans. There are missions to kill demons and half-demons. Do you want to take these missions? The Blood Shadow founder should have started by killing demons when the demons invaded more than 70,000 years ago, right? What does it have to do with demons? Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, give the 2 stewards under the Black Sable a mission to assassinate the bloodthirsty Ash Wolf. I'll see if I can control a wolf demon or half-demon to investigate the situation. This time, Zhou Wan was a little surprised and asked, how do you know about the demon's invasion more than 70,000 years ago? No one knows about this except for the top forces that inherited it before the demon's invasion. Even the top forces were ordered to destroy these records after the war. Among the top forces in Beiyuan Shushan today, only the Blood Shadow knows the details. The other forces only know some incomplete information. Wang Daoyuan not only knew about this matter, but also experienced it himself. He replied, I received the inheritance of an ancient cultivator, so I mentioned some of these things. Zhou Wan didn't ask about the demon's invasion anymore and said, in that case, let the two stewards kill the bloodthirsty ash wolf. Chapter 373. After Wang Daoyuan obtained the information he wanted, he asked casually, can I exchange blood shadow for Tai gold essence? 3rd or 4th grade is fine. Even if I don't have any ready-made ones, some information will do. Among the materials needed to refine a natal Dharma artifact, only the vermilion bird fan's materials were easier to find. The other materials were too rare, and he didn't have much hope of finding them himself. Inquiring about the materials needed to refine a natal Dharma artifact was one of Wang Daoyuan's main goals in entering Blood Shadow. The White Tiger Blade was the main offensive Dharma artifact in a set of Dharma artifacts. Without the White Tiger Blade, one could only rely on spells to attack. Spells consumed too much of one's consciousness, unlike natal Dharma artifacts, which could be used according to one's will. When he fought with Zhou Wan, her sword didn't consume any consciousness at all, which made Wang Daoyuan very envious. When using a natal Dharma artifact against an enemy, although it wouldn't reduce the consumption of spiritual power, it could reduce the consumption of consciousness. Wang Daoyuan had spiritual wine, so he didn't care about the consumption of spiritual power. Reducing the consumption of consciousness was very important. Zhou Wan smiled and said, do you still need pseudo-dragon balls, earth essence, heaven-suppressing stone, and the natal feather of a fire elemental demon bird? He had penta-spiritual roots, and when he fought with Zhou Wan, he exposed his black tortoise shield and black tortoise avatar. She wasn't a fool, so she definitely guessed that he had a 5-elemental divine beast avatar. If he were to refine a natal Dharma artifact, it would definitely be divided into 5 elements. However, she knew the main materials of other Dharma artifacts, which made Wang Daoyuan very surprised. Wang Daoyuan and she weren't face to face, so she couldn't see Wang Daoyuan's expression. Wang Daoyuan didn't speak for a long time. Zhou Wan said, don't think about how to quibble. The 5-elemental devil suppression seal isn't a secret. Venerable Devil Suppression Master was from the era when the various nations were fighting for hegemony. He was also the last golden core cultivator with penta-spiritual roots in Beiyuan Shoshin. In the southern wasteland, he got this title after quelling the chaos of the fiendish cultivators. Back then, he was also known to be invincible among his peers. I've seen his information. The Netherworld School had acquired the legacy of the 5 elements devil-subduing seal, but didn't have any Zifu disciples with pentaspirit roots. Thus, they didn't take it seriously, and so the legacy remained within the Netherworld School for hundreds of years. Blood Shadow had arranged people in the Underworld sect. Blood Shadow knew all the non-core inheritances of the Underworld sect. However, the requirements for the 5 elements fiend suppression seal were too high. Even for cultivators with 5 spirit roots, if their purple mansion phenomenons were not strong enough, they would not be able to unleash much of the power of this set of destiny dermic weapons. It's only been a few years since you opened your Violet Palace realm, but the Black Tortoise Shield is already so powerful. It should be the manifestation of the 5 elements divine beast, right? The Shanbei branch did not have materials of level 3 and above, but the headquarters did have Tai Essence Gold. Even if he couldn't get a Tier 4 one, there was still hope for a Tier 3 one. However, my enemy is at the headquarters, so I definitely won't be able to apply. When you become the Vice Hall Master, you will have a chance to get it. Of the other magic tools, the Vermilion Bird fan requires the simplest materials, which you can obtain on your own. Even Blood Shadow couldn't gather the materials for the Kirin seal. The headquarters does have pseudo-dragon balls, but it's hard for even the direct disciples to get them. You definitely won't have a chance. I'll help you keep an eye out for news of dragon seeds. I still have to remind you that Luo Jiuyo isn't a good person. There might be some dirty tricks in the refining method of the 5 elements fiend suppression seal. Be careful. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Thank you for the reminder. I'll leave the materials to you. I'll be living off a woman for once. Zhou Wan pretended to be angry. You're not living off a woman for nothing. If you want to live off a woman, you'll have to pay the price. If there's nothing else, scram. Wu Yi's clone left Zhou Wan's cave abode. Wang Daoyuan no longer sensed Wu Yi's panoramic view. At this moment, Bai Xing's clone had finished processing the 2 bloodthirsty wolf fangs. Among magic tools, flying swords were the easiest to refine. Most flying swords only had a few patterns, and they were the most basic ones. Wang Daoyuan used only 3 days to refine 2 wolf fang swords. There were still some leftovers of the grade 3 metal auxiliary materials that Beiying sent. Although there were very few of them, Wang Daoyuan kept them properly. Who knew when they would come in handy? Children of poor people matured early. It was not easy to get a few grade 3 materials, so they could not be wasted. After handing the 2 flying swords to Beiying, Wang Daoyuan continued to nurture magic tools in the refining workshop. In the next few months, Beiying would come to the refining workshop once or twice a month to ask him to help refine magic tools. Without exception, the materials were all the bones of grade 3 bloodthirsty wolves. In total, at least 5 rank 3 bloodthirsty ash wolves had been killed. At this moment, Zhou Wan also sent a letter saying that the task had been arranged. The task this time was relatively big. They needed to send out 3 Peak Foundation establishment cultivators, which meant that they needed to send out 3 stewards. If not, the Mystic Marten would not have agreed to send out 2 of its stewards. This task was jointly issued by the White Fox tribe and the Silver Fox tribe, and the reward was 400,000 spirit stones. As long as Blood Shadow sent out enough people, they would have to give it regardless of whether they succeeded or not. In the past few months, the half-demon tribes had been ruthless to the wolves. In a short period of time, the bloodthirsty wolves had lost more than a quarter of their core strength. The Wolf King was also severely injured and did not dare to make a move. If this carried on, the entire wolf pack would be annihilated. The Wolf King also put down its pride and asked for help from the other wolf packs. Initially, the grade 4 wolf kings only wanted to suppress the other wolf kings because they wanted to compete with each other. In the face of the survival of their tribe, this little grudge was nothing. The Wolf King might send out a group of grade 2 wolf demons to seek help from the other wolf packs. The time to seek help might be within a month. The territory of the wolf pack that the White Fox tribe was dealing with was Blood Wolf Mountain. It was a grade 3 spirit mountain located at the edge of the Heaven/Mountain Range. Blood Wolf Mountain was more than 13,000 miles northeast of Wild Goose Town. The White Fox tribe was southwest, the Silver Fox tribe was west, and a few weaker half-demon tribes were north. As for the other bloodthirsty wolves, the closest one to Blood Wolf Mountain was 20,000 miles away. If the bloodthirsty wolves wanted to send a message, they could only pass through the gaps between the territories of the other tribes or take a detour through the Heaven/Mountain Range. Most demon beasts had their own territories and had been running around the Heaven/Mountain Range. If they met a powerful demon beast, they would be dead. If a grade 2 wolf wanted to send a message, the paths it could choose were limited. The half-demon tribes had deduced more than 10 possible paths. They did not have enough manpower and could not guarantee that they could block all the paths. That was why they issued a reward to Blood Shadow. As long as Blood Shadow could block 3 paths, they would be able to get 400,000 spirit stones. If they could kill a wolf demon, they would be able to get 20,000 spirit stones. If Blood Shadow lost people, a late-stage foundation establishment would be able to get 20,000 spirit stones. A peak foundation establishment would be able to get 50,000 spirit stones. People below late-stage foundation establishment were naturally not suitable to participate in this mission. The territory of the half-demon tribes in the north of the mountain was not small and they had many industries. Some of the larger tribes even had spirit stone mines in their territories and did not lack spirit stones. They were really generous. Hundreds of thousands of spirit stones just to get Blood Shadow's people to help block 3 paths. As for the bloodthirsty wolves, it was too conspicuous to send out a grade 3 wolf demon. Moreover, they did not have enough high-end combat strength. If they send out a grade 3 wolf demon, they would be killed even faster if an accident happened. Only sending out a foundation establishment cultivator was very suitable for Blood Shadow. The north of the mountain only had 2 Zifu realm cultivators. Zifu realm cultivators were too conspicuous. Blood Shadow, as an underground faction, naturally did not want to attract too much attention. There was no free lunch in the world. The half-demons did not want to spend spirit stones for nothing. The 3 paths left for Blood Shadow were all within the heaven/mountain range. It was too risky for the wolf demons to travel through the territories of the half-demon tribes. Half-demons could fly on their swords. If they were discovered, a few grade 2 demon beasts would not be able to escape. If they went through the heaven/mountain range, the chances of being discovered were much lower. Furthermore, demon beasts could not fly. If they were discovered, they would have a chance to escape. Therefore, the wolf demons were more likely to appear in the 3 paths that Blood Shadow was in charge of. Moreover, during the battle, they might anger other demon beasts and there would be casualties. Chapter 374. The reward for this mission was very generous, but the risk was also very high. The wolf pack of Blood Wolf Mountain had 20 rank 3 wolf demons, and there were at least hundreds of rank 2 wolf demons. Moreover, the bloodthirsty ash wolf could produce a rank 4 wolf king. Their bloodline was relatively strong, and their innate spells were definitely not weak. Coupled with the guidance of the wolf king and rank 3 wolf demons, these rank 2 wolf demons might have mastered many innate spells. In a head-on confrontation, a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator might not be a match for an upper-grade rank 2 bloodthirsty ash wolf. The advantage of a human foundation establishment cultivator was not in a head-on confrontation, but in the ability to fly on swords and set up formations. It was not difficult to set up formations on the 3 paths and kill a group of rank 2 bloodthirsty ash wolves. However, Wang Daoyuan did not want to succeed completely this time. If they could stop all the bloodthirsty ash wolves, the half-demon tribes would be able to destroy the Blood Wolf Mountain wolf pack very quickly. After that, the matter would be over and the excitement would be over. The Blood Wolf Mountain area would also completely become the territory of the half-demons. The path that the 10,000 corpse Daoist used to cross the sky/mountain range was right under the nose of these half-demon tribes. At that time, it would be difficult for him to go and investigate himself, let alone bring his tribesmen over. The Blood Wolf Mountain wolf pack could not be destroyed for the time being, and he had to make a big deal out of it. The demons and half-demons in the north of the mountain were enemies, so that they could fish in troubled waters. On the big picture, this was for the sake of the human race. Weakening the demons and half-demons would allow the human race to occupy more territory. On the small side, the northern branch of the Blood Shadow Mountain would have more business in the future. It would be more convenient for him and his clone to earn contribution points in exchange for precious resources. In addition, he planned to follow the path of the 10,000 corpse Daoist to the east of the sky/mountain range and build the 3rd cave for his family. Of course, the demons and half-demons were scattered sand. The half-demon tribes and demon beast groups were not under each other. Even if the bloodthirsty ash wolf kings joined forces, and the white fox and silver fox tribes roped in a few half-demon tribes to fight against the bloodthirsty ash wolves, it would not cause chaos in the north of the mountain. However, as the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. Once there was a conflict, the bystanders would subconsciously support the side that was more similar to them. The half-monster tribes and the bloodthirsty ash wolves were enemies. Most of the half-monster tribes supported the white fox and the other half-monster tribes, while most of the monsters supported the bloodthirsty ash wolves. Even if they only gave him moral support, it would cause animosity between the demidemons and demidemons after a long time. This would sow the seeds of a major conflict between the two sides in the future. Even if it wouldn't be used for a long time in the future, it wouldn't hurt to make a move first. Anyway, he didn't have to pay any price. He just had to raise his hand and release a few wolf demons. Perhaps decades or even centuries later, this casual move would be of great use. 3 days later, the people from the Shanbei branch set off. Zhou Wan also followed Wang Daoyuan's advice to clean up the group of unreliable subordinates. The three stewards sent out this time were Wu Yi, Lu Zong, and Mou, who was under the Black Martin. Wu Yi and Lu Zong each brought 3 late-stage foundation establishment cultivators. Of these 6 late-stage foundation establishment cultivators, 3 of them were Yu Lang's trusted aides. The other 3 were also Wu Yi and Lu Zong's underlings. If Zhou Wan wanted to pretend to be weak, she would have to clean up this group of people sooner or later. She could use this opportunity to kill them and get some compensation from the demi-demons. It could be considered as making use of trash. Mou was considered the Black Martin's trusted aide. He was also a direct descendant of Blood Shadow. The Black Martin brought him from the headquarters. The Black Martin had absolute trust in Mou. Since it could control Mou, it would be much easier to trick the Black Martin. Mou also brought 3 late-stage foundation establishment cultivators. They were all experts under the Black Martin. One of them was a direct subordinate of the Black Martin. This trip to intercept the bloodthirsty ash wolves mainly relied on the formation. Therefore, not many people went. The territory of the Blood Wolf Mountain wolves was not small. It was more than 2,000 miles north of the Blood Wolf Mountain. More than 2,000 miles away, there were a few weak demi-demon tribes. To the east of these demi-demon tribes was a mountain range called the Clear Stream Mountain. The Clear Stream Mountain was within the range of the Heaven/Mountain Range. It ran from north to south. It stretched for more than 5,000 miles north of the demi-demon tribe's territory. Some of the wolves went to ask for help. In order to avoid being intercepted by the demi-demons, they had to go around the demi-demon tribe from the east of the Clear Stream Mountain. Of course, the wolves did not dare to cross 5,000 miles within the range of the Heaven/Mountain Range. The mountain was also the territory of other beasts. If they wanted to leave the range of the Heaven/Mountain Range, they had to go through a few mountain passes in the Clear Stream Mountain. The Clear Stream Mountain was north of the demi-demon tribe. There were 3 mountain passes. They were the 3 paths that Blood Shadow had to defend. The South Mountain Pass was less than 500 miles away from the demi-demon tribe. The Middle Mountain Pass was more than 700 miles north of the South Mountain Pass. The Northern Mountain Pass was more than 800 miles north of the South Mountain Pass. The South Mountain Pass was too close to the demi-demon tribe. The chances of the wolves passing through there was not high. Further north of the Northern Mountain Pass was more than 2,000 miles of mountain range. If the wolves continued north, they would have to go around the entire mountain range. It was too risky. Therefore, the Middle Mountain Pass and the Northern Mountain Pass were the easiest to encounter the wolves. Wu Yi guarded the Southern Mountain Pass. Mou guarded the Middle Mountain Pass. Lu Zong guarded the Northern Mountain Pass. Wang Daoyuan hid his tracks and followed behind Mou. Soon, they arrived at the Middle Mountain Pass. This mountain pass was more than 10 miles long from east to west and 2,000 feet wide from north to south. On the 2 sides were mountains that were thousands of feet high. They were occupied by rank 3 beasts. Mou brought a set of formation discs. This was a high-grade rank 2 formation, Golden Sword Demon Slaying Formation. After the 4 of them arrived at the mountain pass, they immediately set up the formation disc and installed spirit stones in the middle of the mountain pass. After setting up the formation, the 3 late-stage foundation establishment cultivators hid. Mou hid near the core formation disc. Wang Daoyuan used the spirit concealment technique and hid halfway up the mountain. The rank 3 beasts on the mountain did not notice him at all. After waiting for half a month, 10 50 feet long black wolves appeared in the range of Wang Daoyuan's spiritual sense. These fellows had fangs that were more than 2 feet long. They were indeed bloodthirsty ash wolves. Their cultivation was high-grade rank 2. They came to the east side of the mountain pass. They did not observe carefully and just charged in. Soon, they entered the range of the formation. Mou immediately activated the formation. It covered an area of 3,000 feet. Within the range of the formation, golden sword phantoms flew up and down, constantly attacking the bloodthirsty ash wolves. These bloodthirsty ash wolves were beaten black and blue. They wanted to rush out of the range of the formation in one fell swoop. 3 Foundation establishment cultivators appeared and blocked the path of the wolf demons. They did not fight the wolf demons head-on. They just delayed them. With the cooperation of the formation, the 3 of them easily blocked the remaining 10 wolf demons. After a dozen breaths of time, 3 wolf demons were killed. If this continued, in less than half a cup of tea's time, all the wolf demons would die. If it was before opening the Purple Mansion, it would have taken some effort to trick Mou and let a few wolf demons go. Now, his spiritual sense had greatly improved. He could interfere with the spells cast by Foundation establishment cultivators. A late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator controlled a flying sword to attack the eyes of a wolf. Wang Daoyuan used the power of his spiritual sense to divert the flying sword. The flying sword hit a formation disc and landed on top of it. Fortunately, they buried the formation disc deep. This sword only shattered the soil and stones on the formation disc, exposing it. It did not hurt the formation disc. The wolf demons were not stupid. When they saw the formation disc, they immediately pounced on it and smashed it. The golden sword demon slaying formation was instantly broken. Without the protection of the formation, the 3 Foundation establishment cultivators in front of the wolf pack were killed by the wolf pack. Mou reacted quickly and immediately flew into the air on his sword. Seeing that they could not kill him, the wolf pack ignored him and fled the mountain pass. After the wolf demon escaped, Mou just so happened to fly near the place where Wang Daoyuan was hiding. It saved him a lot of effort. A soul-splitting blade slashed out, aiming at Mou's forehead. Then, he took out a soul-nurturing pendant, took out a part of his soul and injected it into Mou's sea of consciousness. He put Mou into the space of the spirit pearl and dealt with the corpses of the 3 Foundation establishment cultivators. He then left on his sword. Chapter 375. After settling Mou's matter, Wang Daoyuan sensed the situation of his 2 clones. Only 3 bloodthirsty ash wolves came from Wu Yi's side. With the help of the array formation, they easily dealt with all the wolf demons. Unfortunately, he did not have the chance to kill his 3 unreliable subordinates. Lu Zong's side sent 15 bloodthirsty ash wolves and he deliberately went easy on them. All 3 of his subordinates died in battle and the array formation was broken, but 3 ash wolves still managed to escape. The 2 clones put away the fangs of the ash wolves and left the mountain pass. The bloodthirsty ash wolves were too big for the 2 of them and could only use their fangs as proof. After all, the most valuable thing on the bloodthirsty ash wolves was their fangs, which could be used as the main material of a flying sword. After taking down Mou, Wang Daoyuan left the 3 bloodthirsty ash wolves killed at the mountain pass for his clone Lu Zong to handle. He casually found a hidden place to stay for a while. After his split soul completely controlled his clone, he released him and let him return to returning Wild Goose City on his own. Unfortunately, although Mou was a member of Blood Shadow's headquarters, his father could only barely be considered as a mid-level member of Blood Shadow. His own talent was not great either. Therefore, he did not know what secrets Blood Shadow had. The dermic arts he cultivated were also very ordinary and there was nothing that Wang Daoyuan took a fancy to. After dealing with everything, Wang Daoyuan also returned to returning Wild Goose City on his sword and waited for his clone Mou to arrange for him to infiltrate Blood Shadow. Wu Yi and Lu Zong had already returned to the Shanbei branch. During this trip, they killed 18 Class 2 superior grade bloodthirsty ash wolves and lost 6 late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators. The half-demons had to pay Blood Shadow a total of 880,000 spirit stones. Although they did not achieve the ultimate goal of killing them, the half-demons did not dare to not pay the spirit stones. Since Blood Shadow contacted them, they naturally knew of Blood Shadow's methods. Of the 880,000 spirit stones, the 120,000 spirit stones that were compensated for the deaths of 6 people were split between the Hall Master and Deputy Hall Master. As for the remaining 760,000 spirit stones, 400,000 were handed over and the remaining spirit stones were split between those who carried out the mission. The 3 stewards each received 100,000 spirit stones while the remaining 3 late-stage foundation establishment cultivators received 60,000 spirit stones. These 3 stewards were all clones of Wang Daoyuan, so the spirit stones naturally fell into Wang Daoyuan's hands. This time, the Black Sable lost 3 elite subordinates and was very distressed. Mou took the opportunity to volunteer and took over the job of recruiting manpower. Of course, he could not directly pull Wang Daoyuan into Blood Shadow. The Avatar Mou first subdued a broker called Luo Song from returning Wild Goose City Square. This Luo Song was quite similar to Fu Cheng from back then. However, Luo Song's talent was better and he was not old. He was only in his 40s and his cultivation level was at the 6th level of Qi refinement. If he had sufficient resources, he would have a chance to build his foundation in the future. It was relatively easy to lure such a person. Mou promised him resources and the opportunity to exchange for building foundation pills. Luo Song still had hope in his path of cultivation, so he naturally couldn't refuse this condition. Mou easily took Luo Song as his subordinate. Then, with Luo Song's help, he recruited 7 or 8 late-stage Qi refinement cultivators and 2 early-stage foundation establishment cultivators. In order to make the act more realistic, Wang Daoyuan disguised himself as a peak-stage foundation establishment cultivator who was working hard to pick herbs. He looked to be around 150 or 160 years old and attracted Luo Song's attention. Then, Mou went to contact Wang Daoyuan. The first mission that Mou gave Wang Daoyuan was to kill an evil cultivator at the 9th level of foundation establishment. This task was naturally easy for Wang Daoyuan. After killing the evil cultivator at the 9th level of foundation establishment, he successfully entered Blood Shadow and gave himself the nickname Hell Tiger. He also received 10,000 spirit stones and 10,000 contribution points because of the mission. The Black Sable was also very satisfied with Wang Daoyuan as a subordinate and arranged a few missions for him that were quite profitable. He stayed in Blood Shadow for half a year and completed 5 missions. The Black Sable saw the hope of competing with Zhou Wan and proposed to appoint Wang Daoyuan as a steward. Wang Daoyuan was called to the meeting hall. Although his doppelganger had been here many times, it was the first time for his main body. In the main hall, Zhou Wan sat high up in the seat of honor. The Black Sable and Wu Yi sat on her left and right respectively. Mou also sat below the Black Sable. Wang Daoyuan walked into the hall and bowed to everyone. He had no choice. He was only an ordinary member of Blood Shadow now. The other 4 people had higher positions than him. After bowing, Zhou Wan asked, "Hell Tiger, you just joined Blood Shadow for half a year. It's too early for you to be a steward. In my opinion, it's better for you to train for a few more years before you become a steward." Wang Daoyuan glanced at the Black Sable. The Black Sable said, "Don't be afraid of her. Just say what you want to say. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility for you." With this guarantee, he could put on a more realistic show. He pretended to be indignant and asked, "I heard from Lord Mou that Yu Lang was promoted to a steward by another hall master after joining Blood Shadow for 2 or 3 months. That trash was killed when he went out and died without knowing why. Lord Lu Zong was the same. He joined Blood Shadow for less than half a year and became a steward. In this half a year, I killed 6 foundation establishment late-stage cultivators. Steward Wu and Steward Lu are far inferior to me. Yu Lang can't even be compared to me. Why can Yu Lang become a steward after joining the branch for 2 or 3 months, but I can't? Could it be that the hall master is abusing his position for personal gain? I was recruited into Blood Shadow by Lord Mou, so the hall master is suppressing me?" As soon as he said this, Zhou Wan stood up. Fire attribute spiritual power surged all over her body. She looked like she was going to attack at any time. The Black Sable immediately stood in front of Wang Daoyuan and laughed. "Why is the hall master so angry? Hell Tiger only said a few words of truth, and the hall master can't tolerate it?" Zhou Wan was at a disadvantage. Wu Yi immediately stood up and said, Hell Tiger just joined, so it's hard to say how strong he is. When I became a steward, I was given a mission to test my loyalty and strength. Why don't we arrange a test for Hell Tiger now? If he can pass it, he can be a steward. If he can't pass the test, we'll wait a few years. How about that? Mou also retorted, you were only at Foundation Establishment Level 8 at that time, and you haven't returned for many years. That's why we arranged a test for you. Although you passed the test in the end, you also lost a lot of people. Hell Tiger can kill Foundation Establishment late-stage cultivators like cutting vegetables. With this strength, what other tests do you need? Wu Yi wanted to say something more, but Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, if Lord Wu Yi wants to test my strength, I can compete with you and see how strong Lord Wu Yi is in fights of magical powers. Wu Yi was not very strong in fights of magical powers, so he didn't say anything more. Wang Daoyuan heaved a sigh of relief. It was really tiring for one person to act a show for 3 people. Fortunately, Lu Zong was not here. Otherwise, it would be really tiring for one person to act a show for 4 people. Wu Yi was refuted until he was speechless. Zhou Wan naturally could not stand by and watch. She sneered and said, Hell Tiger's strength is not weak. It's just that with such strength, he is willing to join Blood Shadow. Who knows if he has ulterior motives? The Black Marten said angrily, Scarlet Fox, don't go too far. Hell Tiger joined Blood Shadow for the Yin Yang Purple Jade. Itinerant cultivators joining Blood Shadow, which one of them doesn't want to take a step forward on the path of Tao? If this is considered an ulterior motive, then how many cultivators in the entire Beiyuan Xiuxian can be found who doesn't have ulterior motives? The headquarters gives out a piece of Yin Yang Purple Jade every 100 years to recruit itinerant cultivators like Hell Tiger. If you break the sex rules for your own selfish reasons, don't blame me for reporting to the headquarters. At that time, when Blood Wolf's people come to enforce the law, it will be too late to regret. Zhou Wan pretended to be a little flustered and was silent for a long time before saying, all right, I agree to let Hell Tiger be the manager. If there are any problems in the future, you will bear all the responsibility. The Black Marten snorted and said, you don't have to worry about that. Chapter 376. The Sable led Wang Daoyuan and Mou out of the meeting hall, then returned to their respective residences. 2 days later, the Sable sent someone to invite Wang Daoyuan to her residence for a chat. Wang Daoyuan knew that the steward's medallion was ready, so he immediately rushed to the Sable's residence. Arriving at the entrance of the Black Marten's abode, the door automatically opened, and Wang Daoyuan walked straight in. The Sable's residence was very simple, no different from the residences of ordinary Foundation Establishment cultivators. It seemed that she didn't plan on staying here for too long. From the looks of it, this cave residence was quite thrifty. It was just that they wore too many clothes. They wore 3 layers on the inside and 3 layers on the outside. They even wore a black hooded cloak. Did they not know how to save on cloth? The Sable's other 2 stewards were also present. One was his clone, Mou, and the other was Jackdaw. Jackdaw wasn't a direct descendant of Blood Shadow. He was also a wandering cultivator that the Sable had recruited after arriving at the Shanbei branch. However, he'd been recruited relatively early. He'd been taken in by the Sable when he was only at the mid-stage of Qi refinement. He'd been with the Sable for more than 100 years now, and was the Sable's most trusted subordinate. Jackdaw was also one of Wang Daoyuan's targets for creating a clone. After taking him in, 4 of the 5 stewards would be his clones, and the last one would be himself. Once he became the Vice Hall Master and the Sable was transferred away, he'd truly be able to cover the sky with one hand. Seeing him arrive, the Sable handed him a medallion and said, from now on, you're the 5th steward. Although you haven't been here for long, you should be able to see that I don't get along with the Hall Master. That bitch Scarlet Fox may control most of the power in the branch, but she'll never be able to rise again. She used to be a member of the headquarters Blood Wolf, and one of the best among them. She opened her violet palace before the age of 80. A genius like her should have reached the late stage of the Violet Palace realm at the age of 200. However, she's still a mid-stage Violet Palace realm cultivator. Do you know why? Wang Daoyuan realized that the sable was quite vain and liked to be acknowledged by others. He was a professional at playing mind games. He immediately revealed a curious look and shook his head. The Black Marten was very satisfied with his reaction and continued, "She offended a Jindan stage ancestor from the Blood Shadow headquarters. He is one of the top figures in the Blood Shadow headquarters. Normally, people like Crimson Fox should stay at the headquarters and be specially fostered by Golden Core realm cultivators, and once they attained the advanced stage of the Violet Palace realm, they would directly enter the higher-ups. In the future, it would not be impossible for him to form his Golden Core and become an important figure in the headquarters. She had been sent to the barren land of Shanbei as a form of exile. This returning Wild Goose City Square only had one lower tier, 3 spiritual vein, which severely affected her cultivation speed. In addition, she needed to refine her prime magic artifact, which consumed an extremely large amount of spiritual energy and quintessential essence. If she wanted to cultivate to the late stage of the Zifu realm, it would take her another 100 years. He could forget about forming a golden core for the rest of his life. The people under her, no matter how capable they were at most a steward. I was sent by that golden core ancestor to deal with Scarlet Fox. So long as you have the ability to break through to the Zifu realm in the future, you can suppress that bitch Scarlet Fox. I'll be able to leave this barren land and return to the headquarters, and the position of Vice Hall Master will be yours. If you do well, you can be transferred to a wealthy branch as a Hall Master, or even be transferred back to the headquarters. It's not impossible for you to enter the upper echelons of the headquarters." Wang Daoyuan hastily declined. "This subordinate dares not. Jackdaw and Inkfeather came here before me. This subordinate dares not covet the position of Vice Hall Master." The sable let out a long sigh. "Jackdaw and Mo, you aren't very talented. This is the end of their cultivation. Their comprehension is lacking, and they won't be able to comprehend the Violet Palace realm, much less establish one. I've long since given them the insights to break through to the Violet Palace realm, but they still haven't touched the edge of the Violet Palace realm. If that wasn't the case, I would have returned to the headquarters long ago. Why would I be stuck here for 100 years? Your talent is better than both of them. I hope you can establish your Violet Palace realm soon. I'll leave my position open for you." Wang Daoyuan immediately bowed. This subordinate will do his best to live up to Vice Hall Master's expectations. The sable nodded in satisfaction. "Very good. You become a steward, but you can't be without subordinates. I've lost many of my direct subordinates over the years, so I won't transfer them to you directly. Jackdaw and Inkfeather, each of you transfer a few subordinates to Minghu. You can handle this in private. Don't be too stingy. Who knows, Minghu might become your superior in the future." Jackdaw and Inkfeather nodded repeatedly. The three left the sable's residence and went to Wang Daoyuan's residence to discuss the issue of manpower. In the end, neither of them gave Wang Daoyuan 10 late and peak qi condensation cultivators, and 2 early foundation establishment cultivators. Inkfeather even transferred Luo Song to Wang Daoyuan. With the help of brokers, the recruitment process was naturally quick. In order to speed things up, Wang Daoyuan also recruited a few brokers without any backing. Now, half of the brokers in the entire Guiyan market were in his hands. Although brokers had low cultivation levels and didn't have any skills, they all had a large network of connections. However, each of them had quite a large network of connections in their hands. They were still very good at finding people and inquiring about information. Of course, their ability to gather information was far inferior to Blood Shadow's intelligence organization. In the past, when Wu Yi's clone expanded his manpower, he searched for people based on the list provided by brokers. Although this ensured that his subordinates were more loyal and prevented them from forming small groups, the efficiency was too low. After Wang Daoyuan recruited 2 clever mid-foundation establishment cultivators, he gave them the authority to recruit people. He would only personally act if he met a suitable late foundation establishment cultivator. In order to let them recruit people wholeheartedly, they would receive 100 contribution points and 100 spirit stones for every late chi condensation cultivator they recruited. For every foundation establishment cultivator they recruited, they would receive 1,000 to 2,000 contribution points and spirit stones. Of course, Wang Daoyuan wouldn't let them recruit people on the streets. The targets were still personally selected by Wang Daoyuan. He himself would do his best to carry out missions to earn spirit stones. On average, he would carry out a mission every half a month. Each mission would earn him between 5 to 6,000 to 10,000 spirit stones. A Zifu realm cultivator carrying out a mission for a foundation establishment cultivator would naturally be successful. Those dangerous missions that had been abandoned for decades or even centuries were mostly cleared by Wang Daoyuan. After a few years, Wang Daoyuan already had more than 200 chi condensation cultivators and 20 foundation establishment cultivators under his command. Among them, there were 3 late foundation establishment cultivators. The strength of his subordinates had already surpassed Wu Yi's clone. Scarlet Fox hadn't been idle these few years. He had properly dealt with Yu Lang's subordinates and took in a few reliable ones as his direct subordinates. The other subordinates that were arranged to carry out missions with high returns but also high risks were almost all dead by now. Now, the Mystic Sable had 3 stewards and Zhou Wan had 2. In terms of the number of cultivators under her command, the Mystic Sable also had a considerable advantage. After being suppressed by Zhou Wan for decades, she had regained her advantage with the help of Wang Daoyuan. Her attitude towards Wang Daoyuan was naturally very good. In addition, Wang Daoyuan's flattery skills were not bad. He grasped her vanity and often made her laugh heartily. Now, Wang Daoyuan's trust had already surpassed Jackdaw's and was second only to Mou, whom the Mystic Sable had brought from the headquarters. In these few years, he had also frequently entered the Mystic Sable's cave abode. Fortunately, the Mystic Sable was more conservative. If she was like Zhou Wan, she would tease him from time to time. These days, she would run to her cave abode every 2 to 3 days. A man and a woman would often be alone in a room. The baby would probably know how to play soy sauce. Now, the time was ripe. It was also time to send away Wu Yi's clone and let the Mystic Sable have the absolute advantage. Chapter 377. Wang Daoyuan controlled Wu Yi's clone to discuss with Zhou Wan how to make Wu Yi's death more natural. Zhou Wan was already prepared and had arranged a suicide mission for Wu Yi. It was really easy to work with smart people. The mission Zhou Wan arranged for Wu Yi was to kill a late-stage foundation establishment leader of the Crimson Beard Bandits. Although the 2 leaders of the Crimson Beard Bandits had yet to establish their Violet Palace, they were half demons and had longer lifespans than humans. They had plenty of time. In the past few years, they had been constantly recruiting and had more than 10 foundation establishment cultivators under their command. Among them, there were 3 late-stage foundation establishment cultivators. Zhou Wan carried out Wang Daoyuan's plan to raise pigs. When she had nothing to do, she would kill a few of the Crimson Beard Bandits' leaders and make them go crazy and plunder everywhere. The bounties for the leaders of the Crimson Beard Bandits were rapidly increasing. This late-stage foundation establishment cultivator was the 4th leader of the Crimson Beard Bandits, second only to the Crimson Beard Brothers and Feng Linchuan. Feng Linchuan was a wind attribute cultivator and was very strong in battle. He went out to work more often and his status also rose. Now, he was also a peak foundation establishment cultivator and had a high chance of establishing his Violet Palace. Wu Yi's target was the 4th leader. His cultivation had already reached the 9th stage of foundation establishment. His battle prowess wasn't outstanding, but he was vicious and merciless. Every time he went out to plunder, he didn't leave anyone alive. As a result, his bounty was the fastest to rise. He had only joined the Crimson Beard Bandits 30 years ago and his bounty had already reached 200,000 spirit stones. Although this person didn't seem to have any abilities, Zhou Wan had received the latest information that this 4th leader wasn't simple. He had a powerful trump card in his hand. His trump card was a low-grade 3rd-grade artifact nurturing gourd. Inside the gourd was a set of low-grade 3rd-grade mother-child needles. This set of needles was divided into a mother needle and 9 child needles. The mother needle could be used to control the child needles. Moreover, the 4th leader often filled the artifact nurturing gourd with poison to increase the killing power of the needles. Cultivators below the Violet Palace realm would find it very difficult to block the needles when they were caught off guard. After Zhou Wan learned of this information, she immediately detained him. Currently, in the Blood Shadow Mountains northern branch, only she and Wang Daoyuan knew about this. After the doppelganger Wu Yi accepted the task, he brought all his wealth to the Wu family's equipment refining workshop to buy a soft armor. Naturally, he left all his wealth in the equipment refining workshop. Then, he waited for 4th boss near a small half-demon tribe that he was going to rob. Wang Daoyuan also randomly accepted a mission and left the Shanbei branch, following behind Wu Yi's doppelganger. Although this doppelganger was no longer of much use, and Wu Yi did not have much lifespan left, he still had to retrieve the doppelganger in his sea of consciousness. Wang Daoyuan only had 24 split souls left, and each one he lost was one less. How could he give them up so easily? After the 4th head led a group of red-beard bandits to rob a small tribe, Wu Yi's doppelganger launched a sneak attack. At first, he was suppressing the 4th boss, but after the 4th boss used the mother-child needles, Wu Yi was poisoned and escaped. Wang Daoyuan casually used a few methods to stop the 4th boss from chasing after him. After retrieving the doppelganger in Wu Yi's sea of consciousness, Wang Daoyuan immediately left. Naturally, the matter of discovering Wu Yi's corpse was arranged by Zhou Wan. Zhou Wan also pretended to hide the news of Wu Yi's death, and promoted the more reliable subordinates of Wu Yi to be her direct subordinate. The other cultivators did not make a move for the time being, and they did what they were supposed to do. After hiding it for 2 to 3 months, Zhou Wan purposely revealed a little flaw, and the mystic Martin quickly discovered Wu Yi's death. She called Wang Daoyuan and the other 2 to her cave abode to discuss this matter. Wang Daoyuan also took the opportunity to reveal that he had an opportunity to break through to the Violet Palace realm in preparation to exchange for the Yin-Yang Purple Jade. After arriving at the mystic Martin's cave abode, he asked, "Deputy Hall Master, recently, I've been feeling as if there's a door in front of me. The door is still ajar, and there's purple light behind it. I really want to go in, but I can't move." Jackdaw and Nemo you had both seen the experience of establishing the Violet Palace realm, so they naturally knew that this was the opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. The mystic Martin didn't dare to believe it, so she asked Wang Daoyuan about it. Wang Daoyuan was a Violet Palace realm cultivator, so it wasn't a problem for him to trick her. The mystic Martin was overjoyed when she believed that Wang Daoyuan really had an opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. After being sent to this godforsaken place for over 100 years, she finally had a chance to leave. She smiled and said, "Today is really a double blessing. That bitch Scarlet Fox's right-hand man is dead, and you have an opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. Oh right, do you have enough contribution points and spirit stones?" Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "My cultivation has long reached the peak of foundation establishment. I've been carrying out many missions in the past few years, so I haven't used up any spirit stones or contribution points. Now, I have over 400,000 contribution points and 700,000 spirit stones. It's more than enough to exchange for the Yin-Yang Purple Jade." The mystic Martin nodded and said, "Since you have enough, then let's prepare to exchange for the Yin-Yang Purple Jade. Now that Wu Yi is dead, that bitch Scarlet Fox only has Lu Zong as her steward, so she's weak. Let's go to the conference hall and ask that bitch to exchange for the Yin-Yang Purple Jade." The 3 of them followed the mystic Martin to the conference hall and sent someone to invite Scarlet Fox. Not long after, Zhou Wan brought Lu Zong into the conference hall and sat on the main seat. She asked, "Vice Hall Master, why did you invite me here?" The mystic Martin didn't mention Wu Yi and answered, "Hall Master, Minghu has already sensed the opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. If you want to exchange for the Yin-Yang Purple Jade, please take out the Yin-Yang Purple Jade." Zhou Wan snorted and said, the yin-yang purple jade is managed by the Hall Master. It's up to the Hall Master to decide who can exchange for it. Why, is the Vice Hall Master trying to seize power? The mystic Martin smiled and said, the yin-yang purple jade is indeed managed by the Hall Master. It's also up to the Hall Master to decide who to give it to. But don't forget, there's still a headquarters above the Shanbei branch. According to Blood Shadow's rules, the Vice Hall Master has the right to stop all the Hall Master's decisions. If the Vice Hall Master and the Hall Master can't reach an agreement, they have to report it to the headquarters. The Hall Master can only make a decision when the branch is in danger of life and death. The yin-yang purple jade isn't related to the branch's life and death, right? If the Hall Master insists, then I can only use the Vice Hall Master's power. I'm afraid all your decisions will have to be reported to the headquarters in the future. I just don't know if your decision will be approved when it's reported to the headquarters. Zhou Wan was furious. She slammed the table and stood up. So you're saying that you're here to force me to abdicate? After saying that, she gave Lu Zong a look, hinting for him to speak. Lu Zong usually pretended to be a man of few words, but now he didn't say a word. Wang Daoyuan mocked, it seems that Steward Lu doesn't like to talk much, but Steward Wu is eloquent. I wonder why he didn't come today. Zhou Wan said coldly, it seems that you already know about Wu Yi. Don't think that you can do whatever you want because Wu Yi isn't here. If you really piss me off, dealing with you is just a matter of waving my hand. Black Martin smiled and said, it's true that the Hall Master's strength is outstanding. Back then, you were second only to those proud sons of heaven in the Blood Wolf. I'm a person with average aptitude, so I naturally don't dare to compare with you. If you want to kill me, I have no ability to resist. It's just that I'm from the headquarters. Once I die, the headquarters will immediately get the news. At that time, the Hall Master will probably be hunted down endlessly by the Blood Wolf. This time, it's fine if you let Minghu exchange for the yin-yang purple jade. If you don't, I'll report it to the headquarters and sue you for abusing your power for personal gain and being jealous of ability. At that time, I'm afraid you won't be able to keep your position as the Hall Master. Zhou Wan was so angry that her whole body was trembling, and her upper body was heaving up and down violently. Wang Daoyuan immediately looked away, lest he lose control. After dozens of breaths, Zhou Wan calmed down and said, it's fine to let Minghu exchange for the yin-yang purple jade, but I have a request. Chapter 378. Wang Daoyuan praised in his heart that Zhou Wan's ability to control her emotions was really strong. At this moment, she could hold back her laughter and even pretend to be angry. The mystic sable couldn't hide the pride in its tone. If you have any conditions, just say them. As long as you don't force me, even if Minghu can't complete them, I'll still help him complete them. Zhou Wan tried hard to control her emotions. She said, if you don't have the ability to kill the fourth leader of the Red Beard Bandits, giving you the yin-yang purple jade would be a waste. Our spy reported that in 10 days, the Red Beard Bandits will rob the market square of the Valley of Ganquan, which is more than 8,000 li west of Guiyan Market Square. Only by carrying his head will you be qualified to exchange it for the yin-yang purple jade. Wang Daoyuan said disdainfully, and here I thought it would be a difficult task. It's just to kill a trash who only knows how to scheme. I'm not that idiot Wu Yi who can't even kill this kind of thing. Zhou Wan roared angrily, scram. The mystic sable didn't dare to continue mocking her and left the meeting hall with the three of them. After Wang Daoyuan left the meeting hall, he bid farewell to the mystic sable and headed towards the Valley of Ganquan. The Valley of Ganquan was located at the northern foot of Mount Huiyan. It was a valley with a radius of more than 100 li. There were 5 or 6 small foundation-building clans and 2 or 3 half-demon tribes around it. The northern part of the mountain wasn't peaceful. If they wanted to do business in Guiyan Market Square, the journey of several thousand li was too dangerous. Moreover, there was no water transportation, so it was inconvenient to transport large quantities of goods. Therefore, these foundation-building clans and half-demon tribes built a small market square in the Valley of Ganquan. This market square was still dominated by humans. To avoid a large number of human casualties, Wang Daoyuan decided to settle the matter before the red-beard bandits entered the valley of Gangquan. The humans in the northern part of the mountain had a hard time. He didn't have the time to take care of them. However, under the condition that he didn't delay the matter, he would help if he could. Wang Daoyuan arrived at a tall mountain about 500 li southeast of the valley of Gangquan and waited for the red-beard bandits to pass by. 10 days later, a flying boat about 10 zhang long flew over from the southeast. On the bow of the boat was the symbol of the red-beard bandits. Wang Daoyuan executed heaven-cleaving sword and muttered, "These red-beard pirates are really smart, they even have a flying boat. If they were allowed to continue growing, wouldn't they be playing with flying warships? It's a pity that these bastards only dare to bully the weaker forces. They don't dare to rashly attack the demon race." When the flying boat got closer, a giant sword shadow that was hundreds of meters long instantly took shape and slashed at the flying boat. Although the speed of the flying boat was not slow, in the face of the sudden attack of the huge sword, it was unable to dodge and was directly split into two. In addition to the fourth master who escaped from the flying boat, nearly 100 chi refining cultivators who were not killed by the giant sword also fell to the ground and died. The fourth head fled into the air and shouted angrily, "Who dares to attack my red-beard bandits?" Wang Daoyuan was too lazy to pay attention to him. Not even 1/3 of the power of the giant sword's shadow had been consumed. He continued to wave the giant sword and attack the fourth leader. After establishing his violet palace, his strength had greatly increased, and the speed at which he wielded his huge sword had become extremely fast. The reason why he was able to escape from the flying boat previously was mainly because Wang Daoyuan's goal was to destroy the flying boat. Moreover, he was afraid that he would be chopped into pieces and it would not be easy to report back with his head. Seeing the giant sword's shadow slashing at him, the fourth head knew that dodging would not last long. He had to counterattack. He took out a black gourd, and 9 3-inch-long black needles flew out from the mouth of the gourd. Wang Daoyuan threw 9 tiger claw blades at the black needles. Back when he killed the 2 golden-striped tigers, he used the tiger claws to refine Dharma artifacts. He had not used them for so many years. The tiger claw blades were only second-grade Dharma artifacts, and their quality was inferior to the black needles. However, the quality of Dharma artifacts was not only dependent on their quality, but also on who was using them. The 9 tiger claw blades directly sent the needles flying without any damage. The needles were damaged and could not be used for a short period of time. The fourth head put away the flying needles and could only rely on his sword to escape. How could such a mediocre 9th-level foundation establishment cultivator escape from Wang Daoyuan? Soon, he was caught up and beheaded in a single strike. Wang Daoyuan kept the fourth head and the weapon-nurturing gourd, returning to Wild Goose Market on his sword. After returning to the underground branch, he reported to the Mystic Martin. Thereafter, the Mystic Martin brought 3 stewards to the meeting hall. Wang Daoyuan took out the fourth head's head and smiled. "Hall master, this should be enough to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade, right?" Zhou Wan said emotionlessly, "Wait at the Green Wolf's place. I'll be there soon." The group arrived at the Green Wolf's cave abode. After waiting for half a cup of tea's time, Zhou Wan arrived as well. She took out a storage bag and handed it to the Mystic Martin. "Vice Hall Master, check it too. If there's no problem, hand over the spirit stones and contribution points." The Mystic Martin took the storage bag and opened it to take a look. She then handed it to Wang Daoyuan and nodded. "There's no problem with the items." Wang Daoyuan took the storage bag and hung it on his waist. He then took out 6,000 mid-grade spiritual stones and handed it over to the Green Wolf along with his identity token. He should have received 100,000 spiritual stones and contribution points for killing the fourth head. Now, he only needed to hand over 600,000 spiritual stones and 250,000 contribution points. After the Green Wolf was done, Wang Daoyuan followed the Mystic Martin back to her cave abode. The Mystic Martin took out a storage bag and handed it to Wang Daoyuan. This contains the insights I had when I was establishing my Violet Palace. Take a look at it before you establish your Violet Palace. It should be helpful. There are also life-saving items inside that might be useful to you. There's too much of a commotion when establishing your Violet Palace. If you stay here, I'm afraid that the branch will be exposed. It's best to find a safe place outside. Do you have a suitable place to establish your Violet Palace? Wang Daoyuan replied, when I was traveling in the early years, I found a cave abode in the sky/mountain range. As long as I set up an array disc, I can use it to resist demonic beasts for a period of time. The mystic Martin nodded. Since you have a suitable place, then I won't interfere in this matter. Do you need me to stand guard? Wang Daoyuan shook his head. There are very few foundation establishment cultivators that can threaten me. I'm only afraid that the hall master will kill me. As long as you can stall her, I'll sneak out. There won't be any problems. The mystic Martin pondered for a moment and nodded. All right. Be careful. I'll stay at the headquarters and keep an eye on that bitch. Wang Daoyuan bade farewell to the mystic Martin and left the branch. He would roam around the sky/mountain range for a few months and return as a Violet Palace realm cultivator. Along the way, he couldn't stay idle for a few months. He could also search for some insights to enrich the spiritual items in the spiritual pearl. Within the spiritual pearl, he had already harvested a batch of spiritual herbs to refine the Meridian Shielding Pill and Violet Rhyme Pill. The second-generation Blood Dragon Wood had also become a third-grade spiritual wood and could be used to make talisman paper. After settling the matter in Shanbei, he could return to his clan and improve his alchemy and talisman crafting skills. The Jade Dragon algae that he transplanted in the spiritual pearl didn't live well. Even if he watered them frequently with the Drought Rain Talisman and had the spiritual fire of life, only the first-grade Jade Dragon algae seedling survived. He didn't know how long it would take for them to grow to the second or third grade. The original second and third grade Jade Dragon algae didn't survive. His clone threw the dead Jade Dragon algae into the fish pond and only created 2 second-grade high-grade Clear River carps and 5 second-grade middle-grade Clear River carps. Wang Daoyuan walked along the periphery of the sky/mountain range and headed north. Not long after, he arrived near the Blood Wolf Mountain. After the bloodthirsty Ash Wolf Pack of the Blood Wolf Mountain contacted the other wolf packs, the other wolf kings also sent out wolf demons to support the Blood Wolf Mountain. The White Fox and Silver Fox half-demon tribes also roped in some other half-demons. Now, both sides didn't dare to make a move easily and only confronted each other in the area of the Blood Wolf Mountain. Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied with the state of both parties. They fought but didn't break and maintained a hostile state. As the mastermind behind the scenes, he had more room to operate. He didn't dare to get too close to the Blood Wolf Mountain and didn't continue to explore north. Instead, he turned east and went deep into the sky/mountain range. Chapter 379. When Zifu disciples entered the Heaven Chopper mountain range, unless they released their auras to offend the monstrous beasts or engaged in battle, the monstrous beasts would turn a blind eye. After all, once a demonic beast reached the 3rd rank, its intelligence would be high enough. Fighting with others meant that there was a high chance of injury, and if the injury was serious, they might not be able to keep their territory. Therefore, as long as one did not trespass on the territory of a rank 3 demonic beast and did not let it feel threatened, they would not take the initiative to attack. At most, they would roar out a warning. Wang Daoyuan tried his best to avoid rank 3 spirit veins within the heavenly/mountain range. As a result, the harvest wasn't that great. He didn't find any good spiritual items. There were only a few tier 2 spirit herbs and a tier 2 upper grade vine, the bone-binding vine. The bone-binding vine was suitable for the growth of wood attribute spells. Its texture was extremely tough, and it was difficult for rank 2 demonic beasts to break free from it. Once it entangled a person or a demonic beast, it would not rest until one of them was dead. This thing was of little value to Wang Daoyuan, but planted at the edge of the Fallen Dragon Ridge Formation, the effect of defending against rank 2 monsters was still very good. After roaming the Heaven Chopper Mountains for 3 months, it was time for him to return as a Zifu disciple. Among the things that the mystic Sable had prepared for him, there was a 3rd grade lower grade earth escape talisman and a cloak mixed with spirit forbidding silk. He was quite thoughtful. Cultivators who had just established their Violet Palace realm weren't able to properly restrain their aura. With the Soulbind's silk cloak, he was able to conceal himself quite well, so as to avoid being noticed by Zifu disciples. He left the sky/mountain range and returned to the underground branch. Arriving at the mystic Sable's abode, he revealed his Zifu realm spirit energy undulations. The mystic Sable was overjoyed at the unexpected good news. I finally have someone who can open up the Zifu realm. Now that Scarlet Fox, that bitch, has been suppressed as well, I can apply to be transferred back to the headquarters from Elder Su. I will immediately send a letter to the headquarters and apply for a transfer back to the headquarters. I will also apply for the position of Deputy Hall Master for you. By the way, do you have any other requests? After the headquarters agreed, they would send the Vice Hall Master's identity token, proof, and other items. The branch here doesn't have any grade 3 phase. If you need anything, you can get the person who delivered the token to bring it over. Wang Daoyuan learned from MOU's memories that Blood Shadow's headquarters was also at the edge of the southern wasteland. Moreover, it was already within the southern wasteland. However, unlike the Divine Weapon Pavilion, which was located in the south of Beiyuan Xiuxian, the Blood Shadow headquarters was located in the southeast, close to the sky/mountain range. Because the southern desolation was close to the absolute heaven abyss, the spiritual energy was extremely violent. It was completely unsuitable for ordinary cultivators and demons to survive. The demon beasts that lived there were subjected to the impact of the violent spirit chi all year round. They had evolved into ferocious beasts with low intelligence but extremely powerful physical bodies and innate magical abilities. The headquarters of Blood Shadow had a level 5 formation that had been passed down since ancient times. It could turn the violent spirit chi into normal spirit chi, allowing the members of Blood Shadow to live normally in the southern wasteland. The concentration of spiritual chi in the southern wasteland was actually relatively high. If it wasn't for the fact that it was too violent, it would definitely be a holy land for cultivation. With the protection of the violent spiritual power of the southern wasteland, even if the other forces knew the location of the Blood Shadow headquarters, they would not dare to act rashly. However, the headquarters of Blood Shadow was hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Shanbei branch. The communication Jade Talisman was unable to transmit messages over such a long distance. Every branch of the Blood Shadow had set up a communication formation. The message from the Shanbei branch had to pass through the communication array of many branches before it could reach the headquarters. Blood Shadow also knew how to keep secrets. Only the headquarters could read the specific content of the message sent by the communication array. Wang Daoyuan replied, I need materials to refine a natal magic weapon, as well as level 3 magical arts. I had killed a disciple of the Guiyuan sword sect a few years ago and obtained the incomplete inheritance of the Guiyuan sword sect through soul searching. I can be considered half a sword cultivator. These things are naturally useful in the foundation establishment stage, but they are not enough once you reach the Violet Palace stage. The Black Marten nodded and said, the Guiyuan sword codex was already in the hands of the headquarters a few hundred years ago. A trash Violet Palace inheritance is not a big deal. What kind of natal magic weapon do you plan to refine, and what materials do you need? Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, I have the method to refine the Tai Tiger sword. The other materials are easy to find, but I really have no way to refine the Tai gold essence. The Tai Tiger sword could not be considered a brilliant natal magic weapon, but its attack power was extremely strong. The material of the Tai Tiger sword was similar to the White Tiger blade. In order to fool others, Wang Daoyuan converted all the spiritual energy in his body into the metal element and disguised himself as a metal element cultivator. It was reasonable for him to refine the Tai Tiger sword. Hearing that Wang Daoyuan wanted the Tai gold essence, the Black Marten was a little surprised. With your talent, there will be a Violet Palace phenomenon when you establish your Violet Palace. What is your Violet Palace phenomenon? Wang Daoyuan said proudly, I really can't hide it from you. My Violet Palace phenomenon is the golden-eyed jade tiger. The golden-eyed jade tiger possessed the bloodline of the divine beast, the white tiger. Its relationship with the white tiger was similar to the relationship between a flood dragon and a true dragon. With the golden-eyed jade tiger phenomenon, it was more suitable for him to use the Tai tiger sword as his natal magic weapon. The Black Marten pondered for a moment and said, the golden-eyed jade tiger phenomenon has a high chance of forming the golden core. If you cultivate well, you might be able to enter the headquarters in the future and become a golden core cultivator. The Tai gold essence is also an extremely precious spiritual item in the headquarters, and it's not easy to take it out. However, a cultivator with the golden-eyed jade tiger phenomenon is worth far more than a third-grade Tai gold essence. I can inform Elder Su of your value when I send the message. Elder Su has a heart of love for talents. As long as you work for Elder Su, a piece of Tai gold essence won't be a problem. Wang Daoyuan immediately bowed. I don't know Elder Su. I only know that it was the Vice Hall Master who gave me the opportunity to establish my Violet Palace. The Black Marten nodded in satisfaction. It's good that you can think of it this way. If you nurture another Violet Palace realm cultivator in the future, I will help you return to the headquarters. With your talent, you will definitely shine brightly at the headquarters. The Black Marten was flattered by Wang Daoyuan. He dared to boast about promoting him even before he returned to the headquarters. However, nurturing a Violet Palace realm cultivator was also a great contribution to the branch's Hall Master and Vice Hall Master. Especially a Violet Palace realm cultivator with the potential to form the Golden Core. The Hall Master and Vice Hall Master would be rewarded greatly. With Elder Su suppressing the headquarters, Zhou Wan naturally wouldn't be able to get the credit. At that time, wouldn't all the benefits fall into the Black Marten's hands? With this contribution, the years of hard work dealing with Zhou Wan, and Elder Su's activities, it wouldn't be difficult for him to enter the middle management of the headquarters. Wang Daoyuan naturally thanked him profusely and praised the Black Marten to the sky. After chatting for a while, the Black Marten went to the branch's communication array and reported the situation to the headquarters. Wang Daoyuan returned to his cave and controlled his clone, Lu Zong, to go to Zhou Wan's cave to inquire about the situation. After Lu Zong entered Zhou Wan's cave, he found her drinking wine and laughing foolishly from time to time. Lu Zong coughed lightly. Hall Master, why are you so happy? Zhou Wan smiled and replied, isn't it because the plan is about to succeed? That bitch, the Black Marten, is really stupid. She was fooled and thought that she had already subdued me. Lu Zong sat beside the stone table and said, can you be a little more mature? As a Midzifu realm cultivator who possesses the phenomenon of a divine beast, is it worth being so happy to be fooled by an idiot? Zhou Wan glanced at him and said, why do you care? On the other hand, you run to the Black Marten's cave every 2 to 3 days. Do you have any ulterior motives? If I didn't know that bitch, the Black Marten, had always wanted to marry my defeated opponent, I would really suspect that the two of you are having an affair. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Why, are you jealous? Zhou Wan picked up a spiritual fruit and threw it at Lu Zong. Nothing good comes out of a dog's mouth. What business do you have with me? Lu Zong dodged the spiritual fruit and smiled. I have something to ask the Hall Master. The Vice Hall Master's token has been issued. If I accept it, will the headquarters know my identity through the token and monitor my whereabouts? You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.